You're listening to M.T.V.B. Podcast. Movies, TV, video and board games. This show may contain swearing.
Welcome to a brand new episode and season of the M.T.V.B. podcast, the podcast that talks about my four favourite subjects as movies,
TV shows,
video games,
and board games.
I'm your host, Anthony, as well as most people know me as the Ant-Man, and welcome back, guys. Yay! Season 7. Woo! How was your break from being back on the mic, eh?
It's like we were never here.
Never here.
Never here.
Never left.
Never left. That's what I meant to say. Anyway, this week's episode, I'm surprised we haven't done this in 6 seasons we've done now.
Gotcha, I know, yeah.
I've wanted to do this episode for a long time, but it's our top 5 director's cuts of all time. I'm joined around the table with the guys. I'd love to talk about director's cuts. Introduce yourselves around the table, please.
It's JK47.
And Dave, a.k.a. a 3-disc special edition box Dave.
Oh, I like
I
it.
can't be that. My name's Gal, a.k.a. Grey Fox.
Gay Fox, how are you, sir?
Hey, Gay Fox.
Grey Fox.
Good to see you back, guys, and thank you for coming back after your long break. Back on the mic. Now I'm going to have to bring you back for
Back at it.
a good 20 episodes so we can reach that 100th episode this season.
Oh, of course.
We can do this.
The special.
So, top 5 director's cuts. How was your list for this one?
Interesting.
Why?
Well, because like we said before we went live, we were saying about how we thought we were going to clash a lot.
I reckon we will still.
So I changed a couple in mine. I like it. I like it. Yeah, so I changed 1 or 2 of mine. So I've got a few honourable mentions now. So.
I gotta say, I struggled to make
really?
this. Yeah.
Okay.
I think something's going to hit back at you when
Yeah,
you're
it's going to be one of those episodes where like you say something, oh god damn it! Oh,
Exactly.
fuck,
That's what I was going to say.
We're throwing last minute edits if you want to.
Yeah.
Dave, how was yours?
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We'll take it.
I mean, I just remember growing up with my dad going out specifically with me or asking me to get...
What was that word?
What?
Specifically.
Specific.
Yes,
Mr. Pacific.
Yes, G.
Mr. Pacific. To go out specifically to get special editions of stuff, whether it's CD, albums, or movies, special box editions,
Yeah, too right.
when they were released later. So he was always like super keen to get like, I need the director's cut. Yeah, I need the extended cut or something like that.
The ordinary version's not good enough. No.
Well, we might get to that later.
Well, yeah.
So,
actually, yeah.
I've got stuff to say on that, yeah.
So for the audience that don't know what director's cut is, what is the term of it? What does it mean by director's cut?
It's the vision the director had in the first place when he was putting the film together.
Over the original film.
Over the original, yeah. Because actually there's a quote by Ridley Scott. If I can, you carry on, I'll find it.
Yes,
usually it's really hit home.
To do with runtime and stuff, and well, not usually, but I'm
stuff that was originally meant to be
Yeah.
in the film, but got cut at last minute.
Yeah, or even like the company get involved and not the actual vision of what John's just said.
I think a lot of the time it's meddling from studios.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So, it's not just one person making the movie.
Yeah.
They've got to bow to editors and, studio, like you say, runtime, or perhaps, oh no, we need to make this more streamlined and we need to cut out all of this.
Yeah.
Things like that. Or people don't want to sit down for that long, stuff like that. So the director's cut is what the director intended.
Yeah.
If they would have been given free license to do what they want.
Yeah, but that's weird though, isn't it? That's what the director's there to do, and it's a bit.
Yeah, but
if you're a director and you like,
but a good editor,
I'm not doing this.
Yeah, but a good editor, if you've got, will sort of tighten everything up, because you can waffle. You can, if you're a director, you could get stuck into like sort of extrapolating certain things that just might slow the pacing down. So if you've got a good editor who tightens everything up, trims the fat, as it were, then that
trims some fat off me, I'll tell you.
Then that would work.
But it's like I got a thing here, right, where Ridley Scott he gave an interview on S07E01, and he was asked about director's cuts of films, basically, and when he was discussing the motives and thinking behind the new version, and he basically said it depends who's in the driving seat. If you've got a lunatic doing my job, then you need to preview it, and if a good director should be experienced enough to judge what he thinks is the correct version to go out, but unfortunately the director will get overridden. Because like you say, studios want money.
Producers always get involved, don't they? So,
but I think it's got to the point now where I think people kind of leave the likes of him alone.
I think that comes to credibility, doesn't it? I also think it's a sign of the slightly different times as well.
Or is it a business move where they can get another cut out and another make?
Nah, I don't think it is.
Oh.
I think there was there seems to have been a period in cinema where there seemed to be a lot of changes done to movies. Like, we don't seem to get it as much now, I don't think.
No, I was about to say that, actually, yeah.
True.
And Ridley Scott had a lot of his stuff. He's got a lot of director's cuts.
Yeah.
Does he ever?
That man was messed with.
80s and 90s
stuff.
are full of director's cuts, aren't they? So.
But are you guys fans of director's cuts? Like, if it's a film that you adored years ago, and all of a sudden they're going, "Wow, actually, we've got an extra 20 minutes now." Would you be? Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah?
Only if it's like a movie that I really, really enjoyed. Like,
do you think it would tarnish your original? So, say like Ghostbusters, the original, and they say, "Oh, we've got an extra 20 minutes now. Go see it at the cinema."
Yeah, hell yeah.
Do you think it would tarnish the original that you've grown up for years with, or anything like that?
No, I don't think it would.
I'd be interested to see what it was they left out, but it wouldn't spoil the original for me. I don't think it would anyway. So.
Yeah.
And one thing I use director cuts. So say the film was a bit lame or wasn't that good, but I answered, I'll watch the director's cut. It kind of makes amends or it's better. Then it's worthy of watching it, I guess.
Well, I think if it is a director's cut rather than just extra stuff put in, then I've been always interested to see that, because it's probably going to expand on things, deepen stuff, but that had to be cut for time constraints or pacing issues.
Yeah.
So there's a couple in mind that I'll go into that had that issue.
Okay.
There's story bits that have been cut just to speed things up, I think, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So always interested to watch a director's cut. Because if the director is passionate about what they're doing and they're trying to make a really good film, then I'm probably going to trust their judgment over a producer or a studio suit.
Yeah, I mean, what is, if as a director, you should be annoyed, isn't it? Like, if this is your vision, you've made it, and then they're like, no, I don't want. They're cutting up your passion, what you put into over the couple of years.
The thing is,
what I'm saying? Why bother doing it?
Yeah, I mean, if I go to a cinema and see a film, like we had this discussion before, it's usually because I like the director of the film, or might like the actors in the film, or I might like the story of the film. If I find out afterwards there's a director's cut of it, I want to know why the missing bits were missing. And usually you find out it's because of, budgetary cuts and whatever. But if it's a good director, you know that the bits that are missing would actually give something back to the story. So therefore I want to see the new film. But in some of them, in some of the cases, the additions might only be 5 minutes, and you may not even notice it.
Yeah.
So I think it depends on the director, it depends on the film. There's a lot of variables in it, really.
What would you classify as a director's cut? So say, for example, you've said stuff added to it. But let's just say something was literally just a take that was added to it. Would you class that as a director's cut, for example? Because I'll give you an example. So I saw Temple of Doom a shit ton of times as a kid.
Yeah.
And then when the Blu-ray finally came out for it, they added literally 2, maybe 5 seconds of it.
Nah, that's not.
Would you count that as a director's cut, or would you just be like, "Oh no, that was"?
Unless it's a really important fucking.
If it changes the whole film.
Well, no, it didn't change anything at all. I think it was like an extra little bit of violence or something. It was nothing like that changed the storyline or anything like that at all. So no, not count that.
If it's like a chunk of stuff that does add to the story. So I was having a bit of trouble with the extended editions versus director's cuts.
Yeah.
So I've kind of gone for both.
Yeah, same here.
Because, if it's an extended edition, it's probably what the director would have wanted in it at the start, but had to cut out for whatever reason. But if it's just a small thing like that, then I won't.
Yeah, see, sometimes they'll do like test audience. They'll do like a test preview, and it might be a case of the audience thought the film was too long or whatever, so they'll cut the odd little bit out, and it might only amount to minutes, and then they'll show the cut version in the theatre, and nobody knows any different because the story flows the same. There's not, as far as you're concerned, you didn't know there's anything missing. And then later on, then you see the director's cut of it, and you'd still be hard pressed to think, well, what did they cut? What did they add?
When I was thinking of like what I just mentioned about that little quick take, I think maybe it might be due to, because I don't know about you, I used to watch a lot of movies on TV.
Yeah.
So there would be a TV cut of the film.
Yeah, because of the adverts.
And originally, and well, not just that, it's like the time they showed it as well. So it might have just been added because it was the actual original, and then you're like, oh crap, that was clearly cut for TV, or that has been added last minute for some reason.
You've got a 2-hour slot, and you've got to allow X amount of time for adverts, so therefore you've got to cut 10 minutes off that film, sort of thing, And then they've got to be very clever.
Is that legit? Is that how they used?
Yeah,
they used to.
So
there's a couple of honorable mentions I'm going to mention that were literally cut for TV. There was a version for TV, and there was an actual version for VHS or whatever it was that came out at the time.
So when they were making the film, they would have that in their mind. Oh, hang on, this is going to go on this TV.
Well, I'll give you. It's not going to be in anyone's top 10, or top 5. So I'm going to. So the original Superman.
Oh, damn it, man! I'm not joking.
Damn it! Oh, you had me then. The original Superman. So they had a 2-hour theatrical cut, but for some reason the TV cut was longer than the theatrical cut.
Oh, right.
But then sometimes it's vice versa.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. There's loads, mate. That I can
I'm
go
guessing
into.
that's back in the day, right?
That's back in the day. I don't know if that. Well, nothing gets on TV now.
80s and 90s, it was full of it.
But let's go to the next question. So let's say, for example, I'm going to bring length of film into this now. Right. So obviously, Dave's mentioned that stuff gets added, and it could go for like half an hour, 45 minutes or so. But let's just say Titanic comes out, and James Cameron says it's got another hour added to this. And it's already a 3.5-hour movie. Would you, not necessarily Titanic, I'm using it for example, but if a movie got to like 4.5 hours, possibly 4:45, whatever, would you go see it because of that cut of it?
Yeah,
depends on the movie for me.
Yeah,
to be honest. Yeah.
No,
if I've enjoyed that film already.
Yeah,
and it's an hour more of that film, then
Right, let's say Avengers Endgame is another hour longer.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, all you need is a 4-hour post somewhere at Gatwick Airport. Yeah, watch it on a tiny little.
Well, they've taken all the posts away from us anyway. So, but I'm game for that.
You're in game for that, yeah. What about you guys? A specific longer cut?
Makes no odds to me.
Yeah.
The way I look at it is.
So let's go with Dust Boot. You love that film,
yeah.
So there's a director's cut of that's 4 hours long. If there was we got another hour of that, would you just go for it?
Fuck yeah.
Oh, there you go. See, Dave.
Yeah.
I will. No questions. Like I said, it's got to be in the movie that I enjoyed or something like that.
In fact, the longer the edition, the more interested I'd be to see it. Because it's like if
you'd be
it's
intrigued what they've added.
Well, yeah, because it's like 5 minutes might not sound much, but an extra 10 seconds on that scene and an extra 15 seconds on that scene could actually make a lot of difference. But if they're adding another hour, you're thinking, "Fuck me, that's half a film."
And then when you watch it with that additional thing, you're like,
why?
Where like?
Yeah.
Where has this been?
Yeah,
because but then sometimes the story flows so well, you come out from the cinema, and you're thinking,
that's how.
So what were the additions then? Because the story seemed to flow so well, you never spotted it. We've done this before.
There's one or two on my list where I'm like, what
I know. I've done that before.
For a couple of hours. What have they added?
Yeah.
Crazy.
I've done that a couple of times.
Because it's just
it just
exactly
it flows.
how,
It helps to flow, probably, fair enough, but Yeah.
Have you seen the director's cut more enough that if you've not watched the original at all anymore, or you've forgotten what the original's like? Is that,
No,
is that what you're getting at?
Probably because I've probably forgotten the original. But like I said, I watched the first film and then I watched it with the additional version, and I was there sitting there, okay, yeah, I'm gonna try to figure out where they added it. I was like, the fuck? What? Maybe it was just an extended.
Maybe you're just enjoying it too much. Like,
probably, yeah.
Not looking for that.
No, I'm director's cut all the way. Then once I've seen it, I won't watch the original.
But there are others where like it's rectified the film.
Yeah.
So that's one of them on my list, which I won't say.
There's a couple of mine. They fleshed out certain storylines and things.
Okay.
But
So last question for you before we move on to the top fives. Is there a movie that doesn't have a director's cut that you would like to see a director's cut of?
That's a good one.
damn.
I'll go me personally. I would love to see a director's cut for Event Horizon. Purely because that movie was originally a 2.5 hour movie and they filmed it and they had to cut it down to an hour and a half. So there's an hour missing and then it got shipped somewhere in, I think it was a studio in Czech, whatnot, and it got ruined. So we'll never get to see the director's cut. But to think that the point of it, there was one. If you watch the features, there are some lost footage that they have restored, and it looks like something out of Hellraiser. It looks brilliant how they do it, and just oh my god, I would just love to have seen, because that movie's gory enough. Could you imagine that a director's cut of that film would be like, good god,
What they cut out? And
yeah, I would just so interesting to see something like that. Do you guys have any movies like that at all?
One, but I don't know if there has been. I don't know, being my favourite film. The Thing, maybe?
No, it hasn't got a director's cut. No,
that'd be awesome.
yeah. One of your favourites?
Yeah.
Dave?
I'd like a Star Wars one, but with violence. Arms getting chopped off and
We've
heads.
said this before, haven't we? Yeah.
Imagine that.
R-rated Star Wars.
If it wasn't, like PG'd.
Yeah, like some of this time,
Like,
the
a
lightsabers
man Star Wars.
Yeah. Quentin Tarantino Star Wars.
chapters.
I'd be all
None
over
of this
that.
arms burnt off by lightsabers.
no,
Like, you
bullshit,
get to cut the fuck off and everything, yeah.
Did they ever show limbs getting cut off?
They do. Like, the original Star Wars had... So this is what I get. They cut a guy's arm off in the bar and it falls on the floor and there's blood on it, but the heat from the saber wouldn't do that. It would kind of score your arm, wouldn't it? So it makes no sense. So they cut it, didn't they? In the end, so.
I want it to be like the beginning of Saving Private Ryan, where there's dudes walking around looking for their arms.
What, Star Wars style?
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be freaking awesome.
I'd like to see a director's cut of
stormtroopers screaming with a big melted hole in them.
Instead of Normandy Beach, is it?
Yeah.
So they're coming out,
The beaches of Tatooine.
So they're coming from space, and they crash land into the beach, and they're getting shot up on the beach.
Pew pew. Man, that'd be sick.
Do it on Hoth instead.
Huh? Hoth, yeah.
The attack of Hoth.
Yeah.
The stormtroopers.
With any Jedis as well? Of course.
Oh yeah.
Nearly there. 30 seconds. I'll see you on the beach.
Stormtrooper just lifts his helmet up to puke over the side.
Awesome, man.
No, mate, it'll be so good.
I don't know if that's a director's cut or a reimagining.
Oh, dude, they'd have their sabers out like go.
Did you have that ready? We never needed that.
It's always been there.
That's a highlight. That's a highlight for me. Amazing.
I found a new button, guys.
Hey, new button. I got to use it. Yeah. John, any director's cuts you'd like to see?
I'd love to see a director's cut or longer version of Saving Private Ryan. You just mentioned it there.
Saving Private Ryan. I'd like to see that.
One or two of the new Star Trek films. I'd like to see a director's cut of that because they did do a director's cut on a couple of the original.
Oh, the originals,
ones.
yeah.
So I'd like to see that. There's a few. No Country for Old Men. I'd like to see a longer version of that.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a few.
Nice. I'm out of questions, guys.
What about you?
I said Event Horizon, didn't I?
Just one, okay.
Oh, there's be a couple more, but that'd be like my all-time favourite.
Any Edgar Wright, Simon Pegg film? Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead?
Yeah.
Oh, a director's cut of Scott Pilgrim would be great.
Because I imagine some of those... I get the feeling from those guys that there was a lot that they probably... Little jokes and things that they had to cut out just to
That
streamline
could be
it.
quite good, actually.
So
Can you imagine
I'm
the
adding that.
Cornetto trilogy and each one of them about half an hour
Extended
longer?
Cornetto trilogy. Oh, my God, that'd be good.
Yeah, I'd go all over that.
What about has there been any director's cut for the original Matrix? Fuck the fourth one.
No, see, going back to what I was saying, there's a couple of cuts that got added to it. So when it got released in the UK, headbutting is a no-no for the BBFC.
Is it?
So yeah, so they cut
this
it.
came out of the era where like you can smash in WWE, where you can smash people's head with
So
those
when this
chair.
movie got released in 2009, headbutting was a big no-no in
For fuck's sake.
in movies. So they had to be cut out if it was in a British release. So when it come out on the 4K Blu-rays and whatnot, they've actually added the headbutts in now.
Oh wow!
So I thought, this is a director's cut. No, it's literally just those headbutts have been added, and that's it now. And there's loads in the movie. But no, there hasn't been a director's cut. But that'd be cool. Director's cut of that, maybe.
I'll be all over that.
Director's cut of Reloaded, where that old man's just glowing vis-a-vis, ergo, and all that.
Vis-a-vis.
Top fives then?
Yeah, go
Let's
for it.
do it.
Let's do it.
It's time for a top 5.
So, guys, again, no clashes, so don't worry about that. If yours comes up, come back around to you, have your 2 cents. And, of course, guys, we're not professionals. If we don't mention your top 5 or mention yours at all, get your own fucking podcast. This is mine. Number 5.
Number 5.
Right. We're going to do a new thing for Season 7 and who goes first, all right?
Yeah, come
we are going to roll the Hellfire Club dice.
Oh, sounds
Whoever
fun.
gets the highest, all right, we will go from there and clockwise from that person, all right?
Yeah, I'm up
So
for that.
let's go for Dave. All right, that's me. Number 5. 7 for Dave. Oh. 5 for G. Oh. Oh, it's not even in the tray. Doesn't count. Doesn't count. It's not in the tray. Doesn't count. Come on, John. Come on.
He just landed on the copyright
15
mark.
starts from John.
Hey.
So, John, number 5, sir.
How did you manage to roll the one fucking
I know.
thing on that has UK
trademark.
CE Stranger Things trademark?
Well, they say he's got
Paladrone products.
Well, it's flat. It's flat, isn't it? Right, my number 5 is a 2005 Ridley Scott film,
Oh, okay.
and it is Kingdom of Heaven.
Ooh. Oh, Jesus, that is a long director's cut as well.
Yeah.
I've only ever seen that movie once as well.
Yeah.
But
That's
again-
the one with Liam Neeson in, right?
Yeah.
And Orlando Bloom, yeah?
But it's one of them films where I watched and was kind of hard-pressed to find what they added in, because like we said before, the story just seemed to flow quite well. And when I got to the end of it, I thought, Jesus, they added all that, and I didn't really notice it. But again, like we said, it depends on the film, I think, sometimes. But I really enjoyed that film. I saw the original in the cinema,
Yep.
and then of course I bought the DVD of it, and
That was like the big 4-disc DVD version of it, wasn't it?
And then-
I remember this movie
and
was
then-
meant to
and then
be like
fucking
Orlando
lost
Bloom's
it.
big break after Lord of the Rings, and it never kicked off.
no, not really. And then I lost the bloody thing, so I've got to go and buy it again now. Yeah, basically, it's like one of these Crusader films where this guy is like a blacksmith, and he goes off in them days, was it 1200s or whatever, off to war, and he ends up fighting.
Isn't his dad a knight or something?
Yeah,
And-
yeah. And then I think his wife kills herself. She has like a miscarriage. You know, she loses a child, so she kills herself. And he feels like he's got nothing left to lose, sort of thing. So he goes off and he ends up going out.
Goes and finds his bastard.
Goes and fights, does his Sean Bean bastard.
Delicious bastard.
But yeah, I mean, again, typical Ridley Scott. You know, so
Yeah, you have to believe in Jesus, go and take down the walls and whatnot.
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of
Christian!
like artistic license with it, sort of thing, because none of it is really based on any fact or anything. Although the actual Crusades were true, they did actually happen and stuff like that. But the characters were made up and all that sort of thing. But no, it's quite a good film. I really enjoyed it. It's a film I'd love to. I would like to buy again now and put it back in my collection.
Do you know who the king is in the Grey Mask?
In the Who?
In the Silver Mask, do you know who the king is?
I can't remember now. It's a while since I saw it. Remind me.
Well, did you know
Oh yeah.
that it's actually Edward Norton?
Oh really?
Yes.
Oh wow.
And he wanted to do. So do you know Hannibal?
yes.
You know how Gary Oldman's in that?
Yeah.
His makeup on him makes him look completely different. That he didn't want to be credited in the film.
Oh, there's
So
a
Edward
few
Norton had
people do that.
Edward Norton had the same sort of thing. So I think he's got some sort of deformity, hasn't he? And when he takes his mask off, again you can't recognise him.
No.
So,
Yeah.
but apparently when he's got
He's
the
all
silver mask
scarred.
on, it's
So it's
Edward
basically
Norton.
a cameo that he wasn't paid for.
Yeah, well, he was paid for it, but he didn't want to be credited
Yeah.
for it
Oh, why is that?
because it was unrecognisable.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
Because it could have been anybody really.
some
He's
actors
just
do that
star.
for some weird reason. I don't know why, but
He's not. Yeah. He's
Has it
not
got
the only
anything
one
to
who's
do
done it.
with the reception? Like suddenly afterwards they're like, nah, that's gonna be shit. So
Edward Norton's in it. I don't fucking watch that.
no, I meant like more. if it's a really people are going, oh, that movie's really shit. They're like, I wasn't in it.
Oh, right.
Oh yeah, it's true. But like, you can't count me. I wasn't credited.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Anything else on that, sir?
No.
Okay. Kingdom of Heaven, nice choice.
It's not a long time since I saw it. So
I need to watch that again. Eva Green's in that as well, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, yeah.
All right, mate.
Can I move around the table a little bit further away from John?
Why?
I'm getting some powerful
John
vibes
getting too
coming
aroused
from
now.
now, yeah.
Calm yourself.
He's already showed up. He had a powerful wrist earlier. Throwing the
Dice. Throwing the dice across the table.
Moving on, Dave. Number 5.
My number 5 is Apocalypse Now.
Ooh, the final cut.
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, not the
think
Redux.
I didn't realise there was, so you had the two, didn't you?
Yep.
So I think one was early 2000s and then one was quite recent, wasn't it?
Yeah, because I think it was like its anniversary or something.
2019, I think, possibly. So I didn't realise how, because I watched this when I was really young, but I didn't realise until I sort of did a bit of digging how much sort of a trouble that film went through getting made.
Yeah.
There was just so many issues. It was a bit of a troublesome shoot and things like that.
Very troublesome shoot.
And it was just, and it got butchered a bit in the theatrical release.
Yes.
So I've included this one on my list because in the subsequent director's cuts, it's a good example of a film where they were able to go back as a director, expand on certain things, add in some scenes, and just tidy up a bit of a mess. I think it was one of those situations where there's so many different influences pulling at and delaying and things like that that it just
it's a better film for it.
Bit chaotic, yeah. So they added a lot of things in to humanise Marlon Brando's general, which I quite like.
Yeah.
I like a nuanced villain. I don't like it to just be here's bad guy, go get bad guy. You know. So, in my opinion, it's much better.
So the original's not great, but the director.
The original's fine,
good.
but it just struggled and it sort of suffered from, and I think it's a bit further away from. It's Francis Ford Coppola, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
I think it's a bit far away from what he wanted.
And the director's cut.
And the director's cut is a good example of an opportunity where they've been able to go back, add in some extra scenes, do a bit more nuance in certain things, which just gives a different sort of tone to the movie.
Like I said, it's a better film for it. It needed it. So.
But at the end of the day, these movies never needed director's cuts. All the original cuts won the Academy Awards and stuff.
Yeah, exactly,
But I can see with that. Is this the longer cut of it now?
Yeah.
Like the definitive cut for it now? Yeah. Okay. I haven't seen this one yet. So
hang on, I'm going to have to think. I don't know how. I think it adds probably about 30 minutes or so.
I'm not sure if I've seen it. I know of it, but I don't know if I've seen it.
I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
Oh, same here.
Oh yeah, so the theatrical cut was 147 minutes.
It's bad enough as it is.
The final cut is 182 minutes.
Oh,
so 3 hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
Added about 40 minutes to it. Then.
Yeah, well, just under.
Yeah.
But I do really feel for directors because everyone knows obviously it's a massive industry to make one movie. You've got so many different moving parts that you have. Not being a director, but I assume you have to have the confidence to delegate certain things. Director of photography, sound, producer needs to be doing the things.
You have to have everyone on board.
You have to have everyone playing their part. You have to have trust them. And I just feel like when you're getting delays, when you're taking hits and things like that, and you've got studios who put money into something like this, putting pressure on you, I just really feel for them. So I can understand the need to just put something out. So I love the fact that
it's like they're saying, it's a way of saying, look, that's not what I intended. Here's a copy of.
Yeah, here's it was 2001 that the sort of extended Redux one was released, and 2019 that the final one's been done. And it's just a good opportunity there for them to go, right, after this time, I've had the time now, no one's pestering me, no one's breathing down my back to get it out the doors, get it in front of audiences. I can tinker with it at my own pace. I don't have all these people. I don't have to worry about things like actors' times, because obviously if you're running late, things like that, then other actors could be booked on other things, particularly when you've got big names like Marlon Brando and things like that.
So,
Who's meant to be really hard to work with, apparently, as well, wasn't he? So
yeah. So I just, it's a good example of a movie that,
100%.
director's cut.
Did he have it all shot then for him to tinker after all these times?
Yeah, and just and put bits that have been cut, things like that.
That's the thing with these. They're already shot at the end of the day. Sometimes they just need to add work to it or sound additives.
I didn't realise it was 2019, so it's only literally...
Dave said,
I just
he used to say, So I think it re-released in the cinema, and then they'd done like a 4K disc or a 3-disc edition.
He'd done a 40th anniversary screening. That's where he actually showed it.
Oh. There you go. I knew it was for an anniversary of some sort.
Yeah,
40 years old.
Yeah.
Damn.
Might be more now, 44 now, wouldn't it?
Yeah, 44, yeah. So my
good choice,
5,
sir.
Apocalypse Now.
Yeah,
I think I've mentioned it before.
Have you got it at all?
I have, yeah.
I need something to buy that.
I don't think I've got it on Blu-ray.
I don't know.
I haven't seen it. Me too.
Well, I say I've got it. I probably pinched it from my dad's collection.
Sorry, Dad.
A lot of stuff that I have pinched from him.
Yeah.
You want this, don't you?
Well, he's got this big set of shelves full of DVDs. He won't miss one.
No.
It's very rare that he comes in and goes, I definitely need that one.
Did you take it?
It's a proper Vietnam War film.
Proper, innit?
Yeah, proper
fucking Vietnam, innit?
The thing is, my dad knows where I live, so he can come around and beat my ass.
Yeah,
shake all the DVDs that I've stolen over the years back into his collection if he needs to.
That's mine.
Yeah.
Hang on a minute, I've got one of those.
Yeah.
Nice one. G, what's your number 5?
My number
Biggest
5
juice.
is Batman vs Superman.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
this-
The
I think
ultimate
it's
cut.
called
Ultimate cut,
Is this
wasn't it?
the Zack Snyder one?
Yeah,
The
not
Zack
the,
Snyder cut? Or is that something
so
else?
that's for another one, but this is for Batman.
Oh, no.
This is Batman and Superman.
Batman
I think
versus
it's called,
Superman, yeah.
it's called Ultimate Edition.
Yeah.
So, I think a lot of people hated on this film.
I mentioned it on the
Yeah.
Guilty Pleasure. This was director's cut,
Yeah, I
wasn't it?
didn't realize like a lot of people when it came out. I was in love with the whole film, and it was just brilliant. 'Cause I think we mentioned it on a previous episode where like it's one of those things where you're expecting this sort of film to come out at 8, and as a kid, and it eventually comes out. Oh, so good. And I think the director's cut only adds a bit, 8 minutes. It's not awful a lot.
It's not an awful lot, but it just adds more depth to Bruce Wayne and for Clark Kent as well, because that's what those sort of films like. We always see more of Superman than Clark Kent does.
That's it.
More Lois Lane as well.
I think it builds more. What I remember is builds more on the that court case drama in the beginning.
Yes,
yeah, it has
yeah.
more of that sort of because they kind of rushed that in the actual theatrical release when. That's the one
I love that scene when she turns the peach tea over. Oh, mate, it's that
was good.
such a good scene.
But and also my favorite scene of all time is in a superhero film is I don't know if I said it in a podcast.
My God.
Where I think Batman is chasing someone just in his Batmobile.
Batcar.
Oh yes, and then he bumps into Superman. Yes,
there,
yeah.
My I think that's the first time he encounters him.
Yeah.
And I think he rips the door
Top
off.
of the Batmobile off, doesn't he? Yeah.
And then again, going back, he's obviously Superman's alien, superpowers unreal, and at the end of the day, Batman's just human.
I think some of the Batman fight scenes in that were added as well.
Yeah,
they added a bit of gore in it and stuff like that, didn't they?
I think there's an extended bit, where they do the warehouse fight scene.
That's it. That's the one.
Added those bits where I think he's just more brutal. I think there's a case where if he's killing them or something like that in this.
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
he does. Whereas Batman
is
is not like that. Yeah, he just proper goes all out. But yeah, some of them obviously they haven't at that main encounter scene that wasn't added, but it was one of my favorite scenes of it. But yeah, on the whole, I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, it's a good shout, mate. I definitely like it.
Yeah.
It doesn't add an awful lot to it, but it's still. It's like you're going back to what you're saying about the director's cut. I don't realise there's stuff. This is the added part to it.
Yeah, because every time you sit down and watch it, thinking, "Oh, what have they added?" But it just flows so well, you just don't realise.
Yeah,
it's just amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my number 4. 5.
Number 5.
Good film.
Good shout, sir.
Yeah.
My number 5. Right, so my number 5 is probably going to be the one that I was most excited for as a kid when it came out or when it got announced. That's the Star Wars Special Edition, the 1997 re-release. Some people may not count these as director's cuts, but then George Lucas did actually say that this is where he's gone back, fixed things and added things to his vision that he originally wanted. they couldn't do back then.
For the original
For the
first.
original trilogy, yeah.
Okay.
So, again, going back to what Dave was saying about producers and other companies getting in the way, that he had to cut it out or do really last-minute crappy special effects that didn't really work well.
Was this the version where they added better special effects in?
Yeah, so this is the 97 release where they had the
VHS.
CGI aliens in it and stuff like that. But
It was released in that fat VHS box, right?
yes, you had the gold one, which was the normal
So good.
screen size, or you had the silver one, which could add the other side to it, and it would be
I remember
widescreen.
that,
Remember that?
yeah.
Yeah. The big chunky VHS. That was such a great
Man, that
box
was
set.
so good.
But just as films itself, like
But when I originally got that, I thought that's how they released it.
this
I
was
didn't realize there was another.
huge when they re-released the Star Wars stuff. I mean, I was a kid growing up watching on VHS, and the trailer. I even remember the trailer. At the beginning of the trailer was like, most people today have watched Star Wars via the TV screen, and they're like, if you've seen it this way, then you haven't seen it at all. And then it goes, ba 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 ba, and it's like it's back in the cinema. I think there were only 2 weeks each between the two of them, and I was like, good fucking God, I was that kid. Next weekend, buying tickets for it. I remember seeing it on Pepsi Maxes. They were doing competitions for that and there. They were doing this thing. For people that are my age and listening to this now, but they did a thing called Tazos. Do you ever remember Tazos at all? There was
little round things.
Yes.
Yeah.
So basically, Pogs were a big thing in the 90s, weren't they? So Walker's Crisps come up with their own thing called Tazos.
I was going to remember Pogs.
Yeah, Pogs. So they were literally Pogs, but they had bits you could connect the other one to.
It was
yeah?
inside the packet of crisps.
Exactly, yes. But you never knew. It was like a lucky dip sometimes, and you would never get the right one. But then
you could feel it.
That was in the good old days, back when they didn't mind about kids choking on
Exactly, right.
little bits of
Exactly.
plastic in their cereal or crisp packs.
And they've done an album for it, so you could put the Tazo into an album, and it would match the picture like a sticker album. It was great. It was and I still have it to this day. By the way, I do. Yeah, just oh my God, it was huge. And then they never actually ever said they were going to release Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. The official announcement was just for Star Wars. So when you went to the cinema and they played the trailers before the movie came on, they advertised Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi with added scenes. I was that kid. I was like, oh, my dick's so hard now. This is amazing. So much jizz is coming out. Oh, my God, this is incredible. I cannot deny, they're not the greatest of director's cuts by any means, because no one likes the CGI or the CGI Jabba the Hutt. I don't, especially.
It was great.
But how he added the X-Wings at the end with the Death Star battle as well was really good. How he visually panned him around the camera that he couldn't do back in the 70s, when he could do now in the 90s and stuff. He's just really, really good.
If you really want more insight, I watch Light and Magic.
Yeah. But the issue is now is that the special edition now is George Lucas's official Star Wars trilogy now. He never likes the original cuts now that were from the 70s and the 80s.
Oh, really?
They're very hard to come by now. Like, I think you can get them. I think I still got them on DVD or something. But for love nor money, unless someone copies them onto a Blu-ray disc or something, they are very hard to come by, the original cuts. Because the special edition has just overthrown or overtaken, or the newer generation now have grown up with special editions now. Yeah. But they're not the special edition more. They are just Star Wars now. They are just Empire. They are just Return of the Jedi. So that is the downside to it. But I cannot deny when it came out, it was huge. Just to see Star Wars back on the big screen again. And we were there every weekend it came out, especially, good God. Those great times. I can't deny it.
I remember because of the I never owned the triple, that fat.
The box set, yeah.
So I always had my mate, Jargon, who's a doctor now. He used to lend it to me every weekend, and I just
when you introduce your mates, why do you always tell them their occupation as well?
I've got a weird rash on my arm. Can you ask him about it?
He's quite busy, but I'll ask him. But yeah, no, we used to watch it at his house, and sometimes I'll just watch it and take the box set away and watch it again, and then give it back to him.
So did you ever grow up with the originals?
No, so I thought the ones I was watching, that was original.
So that's the issue now, isn't it? So when the extra scenes came on, you weren't like, this is like...
I didn't realise.
Yeah.
So it was weird. So I thought this is how it was released. Obviously, when I got older, I saw like these weird versions of it. I was like, oh, that doesn't look right. Is this how it was?
Right.
Yeah. So that's how I learned, but yeah.
Nice. That's my number 5 then.
Just before you go,
Also gone.
Dear listener, please spare a thought for the usher at the cinema that had to clean up the sticky seat after
Ant was on there. Up through all 3 movies.
Oh my god!
That guy must have hung his head and gone, "Oh, this kid's
He's
back
listening
again."
now. It's like, oh, that was him.
He's going to come beat your ass.
That's it, exactly.
find you.
I think it's like a scene from Taken. I will
He
find
has
you.
a
I will kill you.
specific set of skills.
A specific set of cleaning skills.
Oh,
Nice. Number 4s.
Number 4.
Apart from my cleaning process, John, what's your number 4?
oh, you're not going to roll.
No, you
you're
started, so we keep
first.
going.
Right, my number 4 is, well, you mentioned it earlier, Das Boot.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, yeah.
And I'm not going to say anything.
I
Yeah,
know.
so Das Boot.
Okay, so explain what Dust Boot is.
Well, German submarine set during World War II, set out in the Atlantic. There's 4 versions of that film.
4.
4.
Okay.
So you've got the original theatrical, and then you've got an extended edition. You've got 2 director's cuts.
Okay.
And from one of them, they made a TV show.
Oh, yes, they have, haven't they?
It was 6 episodes. Each episode was 50 minutes. But then, based on that, they made a special edition, extended director's cut, which is like
Jesus.
nearly 350 minutes long. It's
Yeah.
fucking. But I've got it. I've got the whole box set.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, the music for me in it is iconic as well, and it's one of those films, like we were saying before about the aspect ratio is 4:3, whereas a lot of films now are, they're 16:9, or they're all even 21:9. This was kept as 4:3 because it wants to make you, the audience, feel claustrophobic because you're with those guys trapped on the on the ocean floor in this submarine. And for me, the extended editions are best because you're with them longer. But I just as a whole, I just loved all of that. So I've seen all of them except for the very last one. The very last one.
I was going to say, which is your favourite, but if you haven't seen that, you can't answer that question yet, can you?
Because I've got, like I said, I bought the box set of it, but I haven't got around to watching that. But I've seen the others, so there's only about 10 minutes more between that and
It could be a very important plot.
It could
in
be
10 minutes, though.
Yeah. I will watch it. I will watch it.
Like you find out there's been a hole in the sub all this time.
The whole time, yeah.
You find out Indiana Jones had survived in a fridge at the bottom of the ocean.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And
I mean, how did he get on that sub?
yeah.
Who knows?
He was there all along. They just never realised, did they?
I've been meaning to watch that film, to be honest.
Oh, mate.
I've got like 20, 30 minutes in, and I need to go back to it.
No, it's one of them films you've got to stick with it.
Yeah.
Parts of it can be quite boring, to be fair, because it is very long. But then,
Whereabouts does it pick up then? Like, because it is
Never.
Does it not really?
it's not one
Because
of
people
them
say it's a must-watch film. That's
It
why
is a watch. It is, yeah. But it's not one of those heavy action films
The drama.
with a couple of low bits. It's nearly all low bit, really, isn't it? There are action scenes in it, but they are very few.
It's trying to give you that immersion of like what it was like to be there. It wasn't all.
You can't.
All high, we've got a torpedo trying to get us every time.
right.
You
it
can't.
was very dull. It was very boring
Yeah.
living in that sort of.
Yeah, you can't surface because you'll get detected and blown up and killed. So you have to kind of stay down in the submarine. And watching it for like 300 odd minutes long, you're invested with them. but yeah, I really enjoyed it.
300 minutes. Jeez. That's nearly 6 hours.
After watching that, John could not go upstairs for fear of getting spotted
Yeah.
in his house. He stuck the periscope up the
I had
stairs.
to pull my hood up.
Anything else on that, sir?
No.
Nice. Number 4. Dave, number 4.
My number 4 is the movie Watchmen.
Oh, so close into my top 5 this was.
So you've seen it then?
Huh?
You've seen it then?
I've seen it.
Have you seen it, G?
yes.
Yeah, I've seen it.
So-
The director's cut.
Honourable mention.
Wow.
I've got the thing is I watched.
I gave you a copy of that, didn't I? Yeah.
I watched the original in the cinema.
Yes.
Then I watched the DVD, which I've got recently, but I couldn't remember what they added because it was
Dave
quite
will
long.
explain it. The ultimate cut, wasn't it?
Yeah.
No, there was another one. Then there's the ultimate.
This is the
cut as
ultimate,
well.
right?
Went to watch that at the cinema with my friend Dan, who's very well paid in the security cyber industry. Just thought I'd throw that in there. Is this what we do
It's
now,
like
isn't
building
it?
a backstory, isn't it? That's why it's in there. It wasn't like
This is
oh,
what we
he's a
do now, isn't it? Shut up, Dan. Where was I? Watchmen.
Shout out to Dan.
The Watchmen.
The Watchmen.
So the ultimate 4-hour cut you're talking about.
Yes.
Okay.
So, do I need to go over what it is?
Yeah, I mean, not everyone knows what it is.
Well, it's part of the DC universe. Isn't
It's
it?
not part of it. It's a DC. It's from a
Oh,
DC.
no, that was-
Okay, so it's based on a Frank Miller.
Alan Moore.
Sorry, Alan Moore. Ooh, ouch. Alan Moore comic book, which is a chonky.
It's one of my favourites ever, that book.
And this was, I would probably say, one of the first ones where they did the sort of superhero in the real world as human.
It's like The
sort of
Boys
thing.
before it was The Boys.
So yeah, I was just about to say, like The Boys before The Boys.
Like a superhero noir type esque film, no?
Kinda.
Kind
Yeah,
of,
if you think
yeah.
about it.
So, well, it's set in. Is it the
I think it's 80s.
80s? So it's around.
It's in the
I think-
80s, but they reference back to the 60s every now and then.
So it's set in the Cold War era.
It's alternate 80s.
Yeah. Sort of alternate. And this basically tells the tale of, the sort of caped crusader sort of superhero in spandex, sort of inspired by like Batman's and Superman's, things like that, where real people went into the world and decided they wanted initially to fight crime. So they didn't have superpowers, things like that. They were real human people.
Like Batman. More.
Yeah, just without the funding and the massive
The
gadgets and things
stuff,
like that. And they had their golden era, things like that. And then a lot of them
Sort of died down, really. Didn't
died down, went back to living normal jobs, things like that. Apart from a few diehards. And then there's one character in it, Dr. Manhattan, who's
Such a great
genuinely
character.
a god in power level, has ultimate power. And it's just a sort of a good story, a look at superhero through the lens of real life, I would, and sort of real characters, real humans. Because is it Night Owl?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
he's gone back. He's got a bit chubby. He used to fight crime. He took on the role from the previous Night Owl kind of thing.
That's right.
And his relationship
But
with...
it's all about that guy getting killed, though, isn't it?
So the
Yes,
comedian.
so at the beginning,
comedian dies,
it's about the comedian who is a
what a
superhero, but is not really a good guy.
Yeah.
And this is an example of why the Watchmen extended cut was good, because it did a lot of it. It showed the scenes in Vietnam where he was working for the US government, and he was a dick in Vietnam.
Yes.
I think he was raping, didn't he?
But you get the idea, even if in the original.
Yeah,
like,
you
he
get the
was a bit of
idea,
an
but they
arsehole.
show the scenes. That's
Oh,
what
do
I'm
they?
saying. So in the new one, they show. I think doesn't he rape a Vietnamese woman or
Yeah, and
something?
she complains that she's pregnant with his kid, so
Yeah,
he shoots.
so
he shoots her
her,
straight
yeah.
out.
So it shows him to be, a bastard and things
Yeah.
like that. But he's been killed, and it's obviously that all the old superheroes are at risk, and they're trying to figure out who killed him, kind of thing. So a bit of a detective story. You've got some really good characters in it, obviously. Dr. Manhattan, Rorschach, there's Ozymandias, things like that. What's the woman's name? I'm forgetting her. Silk Spectre, is it?
It's it, yes.
Yeah, so all these characters come together.
Well, a version of her, because all the
A
others
yeah.
are older, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a really good story anyway. It suffered because I remember I was working at
good film, I
Blockbusters
enjoyed
when this came out, and a lot of people thought it was like superhero movie, so they thought it would be.
It's
good
more
for their
depth of
kids.
a superhero film, isn't it? That's what I love about it.
Well, it's a lot darker as well.
Yes.
And
I like the setting, to be honest. The setting.
So what the extended edition did well is it was able to put in a lot of scenes that were cut. So, like I said, you see the comedian in Vietnam acting on behalf of the US government before Dr. Manhattan comes on and basically makes warfare pointless because he can just turn,
Yeah.
he can teleport and obliterate an army with a thought, kind of thing. It also added other scenes in. I'm just going to refer because.
It added the animated.
Well, I was going to go on to that.
Yeah.
It didn't change because in the original comic book it was a squid, wasn't it?
Yes.
galactic
Yeah. So
squid
the ending
fish,
changed.
yeah.
Instead of a massive bomb, it was an actual giant monster.
So is that what they changed to?
So they changed it to a bomb in the film.
It stays a bomb in the film. They never go
Yeah.
because it's bit less out there than the original.
They reference it in, if you ever watch the TV series of Watchmen, which is really good, by the way, they reference the squid in that.
So, but apparently they've added additional shots in the Hallelujah sex scene.
Yes,
So there's extra stuff in that. They included a lot more of the journal notes from Rorschach. So that was quite good because his character.
That's the guy with the moss.
Yeah. So he's the one. Everyone loves Rorschach, but he's a fucked up individual because he can't let go. He's the one superhero that still wants to murder people for being.
And he's the one that's narrating the whole.
But he's trying to bring
comic,
justice at the same time,
book,
isn't he?
Yeah, he's got a warped. Yeah, he's bringing justice, but in the comic book, it's a lot of his. There are a lot of his notes, so he's writing like a journal. And it's a lot along the lines of, this city is...
Which he references in the film. He always narrates Rorschach's journal.
Yeah, so they've added more of those in, so you get more of that. And then what I wanted to move on to... it shows the original Night Owl getting beaten to death, which is another...
Yes, it does. You're right.
So that was referenced, because he gets beaten by a gang, gets beaten to death in the side of a street. Because he's really old at the time,
That's right.
And the new Night Owl's been going to visit him and things like that, and he leaves, gets beaten to death. So it just deepens a lot of the story that was obviously cut just for timing to trim it down, but it enhances the characters, gives them a bit more depth. But what I was going to move on to, you've already mentioned, is in the ultimate cut, the really long one, it adds Tales of the Black Freighter.
Black Friday,
Which was in the original comic book. So within the comic book, there's a random comic book.
So you've got
a kid always comes to a newsstand and he reads a comic book, doesn't he? And that's what that is.
Serialized comic books within the comic book.
Yeah,
and it's a really grisly story about a guy shipwrecked,
which is voiced by Gerard Butler.
So hold on, so a story within a story that's in the comic books. How do they do it in the?
So
film?
you're reading the comic book, and then there'll be a few pages of
that's awesome.
How he's trying to get off this island and stuff like that.
The Black Freighter and things, and it's quite a dark story, which sort of mirrors what's happening in the thing.
How do they do that in the Ultimate Edition?
Well, they released it separately initially, so you could buy it just a little
separate
short
DVD,
on a separate DVD. The Ultimate Edition cuts that in as it was in the comic book.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of people have said that sort of takes away from the main story a little bit, but if you're
unless you're a massive fan,
unless you're a big fan like I am.
So that'd be awesome, yeah.
Which enhances it, because that is a really good animation as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it was originally part of it, so why shouldn't they put it in?
Because of pacing and timing. Because
you're
literally taking the audience out of the story.
It doesn't bring anything to the table for the film.
The only thing it does is it kind of follows the same trajectory.
Yes,
You've not read the comic book, so a lot of people might go into cinema and they'll be like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, I know. But for a fan,
so that makes
the
sense
addition of
to
that.
have it in the Ultimate Edition.
And you've always got the option to skip it as well, so you don't have to
So
awesome.
That's why that's on my list.
Good.
It's a very good choice. Like I said, it was nearly on mine. I love Watchmen. It's one of my favourite comic book movies of all time. The fact that they made it into a film that it was in production hell for years, that Terry Gilliam was going to make the original and it never come to light. And then for people that rip on Zack Snyder, I thought he did a fantastic job with
what you
Watchmen.
are saying. What is so good about that film that he did, and what I think a lot of people are making the mistake of right now in TV and things like that. So take, for example, like the Witcher TV series, the Resident Evils and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They've literally changed it, haven't they?
Yeah.
They've gone away from the source material. Zack Snyder, some of his shots are perfect.
One for ones.
I remember sitting in the cinema watching that with Dan, who's a security, cyber security. And the opening scene is exactly the same shot, pretty much, as the comic book. So it starts off on a smiley face with a red dot.
Yeah, the blood.
And then the rain, and then the blood comes off, and it's the joke. It's the comedian's smiley face badge that he wore. And then it pans out. He's been thrown out a window, or he's gone through a window, and he's lying on the floor as the camera pans out. So he's done that right. Because if you've got a comic book, or you've got books and things like that, you've got a fan base. You've got a storyboard there, particularly with a comic book.
And why go?
You've got a storyboard there.
Yeah,
people like it. You're trying to appeal to that audience. Why do you need to fucking change it?
He
did well.
My question.
Yeah.
We've said this countless times.
Yeah, so many times. That's annoying.
And we're seeing nowadays big, well-known properties are falling flat because people are trying to do their own thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're gonna use a
get your own comic book to do your fucking film.
Yeah,
arseholes.
it's
Sorry.
like do spare parts. The movie. Change it up completely.
Come to me. Hey, no, don't do that. Look at that.
I had a question. That guy with the mask, did they ever explain why he's got that thing that moves?
Well, so the Rorschach, Rorschach is named after the. This is my. Did you know?
An experiment.
Oh, hang on.
Hang on.
Is it,
I've
did
just
you know?
realised. Yeah, this is. Did you know? Did you know that Rorschach is named after a old psychological test called the Rorschach test?
Yeah.
And what it is it's a book of ink blots.
Yeah.
So it's like a splatter of black ink on a white background, and it was used. I think it's largely been discredited now, but it was used originally because it was a tool. So you would show it to someone and ask, "What do you see?"
Oh, they show that in a lot of films.
Yeah.
Isn't that
So what do you see in this? And it's a
nice.
load of blots, and you'd say a butterfly. So I could then interpret from the way you're viewing what is chaos, which is nothing, your temperament. If John looks at it and says, "I see blood sprayed across the floor," then you go, a little bit more worried about this guy who sees blood sprayed across the
What
floor.
does Mike
other
from
than
Space say?
Yeah.
guns, bombs, butterfly
Yeah.
with a bomb. So he's it flexes because it's sort of always showing different, so the whole idea is that he's faceless and you can like see what you want to see in him.
Why does it move like that? Is it? I always thought he's had some powers because I watched it. Wow,
It's like you
I think
said,
it's just the material.
Yeah.
oh, okay.
it's an element for a character.
No, I get that, but I didn't know why it kept moving. Is he moving it? Or is it their mask that he's wearing? I don't know. Never.
There's probably
It's meant to be like the emotions of it, isn't
Yeah.
it? It changes all that.
You see, you see what you.
And
you
what
see
I
what you
like,
see, you know?
what I like about that is in the comic book, Rorschach is supposed to be an ugly fucker. It's supposed to
right.
be all pockmarked and hideous and ugly, and that's kind of why he puts on the mask to
hide
to
that.
get vengeance because he wants to be like.
It would have been on my list honestly, but like I said, I couldn't.
So close.
forgot
I
about
literally cut it out.
No, I
I literally
couldn't-
cut it out
couldn't
last minute,
remember.
mate. I think it was my number 5, and I put Star Wars in the end. Yeah, it's a good choice, mate.
My bad.
Very good choice.
I
Number
forgot.
4.
I forgot all about it, but yeah, damn good film.
Good choice.
And you own it, thanks to me.
I know.
Should watch it, mate.
I have watched it, but I will watch it again. Actually, yeah.
G, number 4.
My number 4 is I Am Legend.
Oh,
There's a director's cut of that?
Yeah, they got an.
I didn't even know that. You've just taught me something.
Was that Will
Well,
Smith
there's
one?
just a little bit, but there's a major change at the.
Is the ending different or
Ending
something?
different,
Oh, right, okay.
Oh,
We'll allow it.
Yeah, alternative ending things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those of who.
How weird you mentioned that when they announced yesterday they're doing number 2 now.
Really? They announced it a while ago, didn't they?
No, but it's like officially started
Is it
filming
official
now.
now?
Yeah.
hell.
Is it Will Smith?
Yes, it is. No, he's in it.
Is he doing it? But it's, I've got to say, it's nothing like the book though, which I mean, Dave would say. But on the whole, I really did enjoy it as a film. And this is going back to one of your questions, where like they change it. I can't remember what your question was, but it was this. It was a major change that kind of alters the story at the end. It wasn't like
Does it tarnish the original or something?
Yeah, I think a lot of people didn't like how it originally ended. So basically, Will Smith is a survivor of the post-apocalypse, where like
he creates a disease that's made the pandemic
that's
and
it, and all these zombies
turn people
thing.
into like.
But they're not essentially zombies. They're basically still human beings, but they're like they hate the light.
They're
And
infected, aren't they?
Yeah.
And they're like.
oh, this is called. I'm gonna have to stay quiet because
I was in.
yeah, this is gonna. You tune in later to
All right,
to hear
then.
the full.
I'll
Just to get the full effect.
Yeah. But
vampires originally. I'm gonna have to say it. That's why they don't like the sunlight.
yes, I remember by the book as well.
Moving on. No, joking.
So originally he basically he kills himself to protect these two that end up these two characters that
Because he's found the cure at the end,
that's
doesn't
it,
he?
yeah. And he sends them off into this. He blows himself up while these vampires trying to get to him because he's got the one of the vampires kind of like a lover or something like that, and he's trying to break in and he's kind of sealed in, and he grabs a grenade and he commits suicide basically and killing all of them while he's sacrificed and saved those other two. And what the directed cut does is, I think it alternates it where he doesn't kill them. I think
I'm going to talk about this on my number 1. I'm telling you.
All right, I'll let you go.
Spoilers.
But yeah, he just basically like completely changes it where he kind of doesn't kill him and gives the female vampire back to them. So it was like I think for me that was the first time where they actually changed the whole.
Was it the first time you noticed something different?
Yeah, climax sort of scene. But in the whole, like, dude, it's a
So-
good movie. And also,
So they
did you
changed
know-
it on the Blu-ray, the ending, or
Yeah.
can you choose the ending?
No. When they released it on DVD, it was
a different ending,
different
right?
ending.
Okay.
And also, did you know?
Oh, fucking people! You need to signal for Christ's sake.
There
Got
was
one.
I got one finally. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a poster for Batman vs Superman on that. It's well.
Yes. Oh, yes. You're right.
Yeah.
Yes,
In
there
the- in
is
the- I
at the
think
very
it's-
opening scene.
Yeah,
yes.
in the New York sort of I don't know.
Yeah. So that was when,
is years
which,
ago.
funny enough, the man who directed Dust Boot was going to be doing that film. He
For
just
real?
he just finished making Troy. I don't know if you ever saw that movie with
Yeah,
Brad
I've seen
Pitt
it,
and
yeah.
Eric Bana, and then he was in talks to do Batman vs Superman. And do you know who Superman was going to be casted by?
Yeah.
Josh Hartnett was going to be Superman.
No way.
Yep.
Jeez.
But it all fell through. Obviously, it didn't come to light in the end. But
But yeah, because I remember everyone was, oh my god, look, this predicted. It was all kicking off. when
yeah,
it first
I
came
forgot
out.
about that. That's a
Yeah.
good shout.
And one of the beauty of that film is I do love the what's the word? How the film shows how he's isolated in that film. I think the majority of the film is where he's him and his dog. I love films that kind of like portray that sort of loneliness in those sort of like survival horror things. So I do love that film. But I won't talk too much. I know
We'll get much more detail later on, I'm sure.
Dave will go
Fucking
in.
well, man.
Yeah.
But a good shout, sir. Good shout.
Thank you.
My number 4 is Terminator 2, Judgment Day. This movie has 3 different cuts to this. Typical James Cameron. We've mentioned that Ridley Scott has a lot of director's cuts. So does James Cameron. Let's put it that way.
Time, though, isn't it? It's that time period of cinema, isn't
It
it?
is, yes, absolutely, yeah. Talking about this film, so I grew up watching the original cut for donkey's years as a kid. I don't watch it barely any times now because I've seen it too many times. I can quote that son of a bitch for England. But I remember when I was watching the original, I bought a 3-part Marvel comic, which was of the film, Terminator 2, but on a comic book. And the comic book had scenes added to it, which I'd never seen in the original cut of the movie. Which is very, very odd because it's like, where has this come from? Or is this something they've added just in the comic book version of it? I need to find out then a year later or so that James Cameron announced a director's cut come out, and that's where these scenes had come in. And then we've got the extra scenes with the T-1000 malfunctioning after he exploded. We've got another part where probably one of my favourite scenes in this director's cut where Michael Bihn's character gets a cameo as Carl Reese. And says one of my favourite lines in the director's cut that there's not enough time in the world, Sarah. Just, oh my God, sends chills down my spine, that line. It brings more to the table. Only to find out that when the Blu-ray come out, we get the ultimate cut, which is essentially the same as the director's cut, but it has a completely different ending to this. You ever know about this ending?
No.
So when you bought the Blu-ray, right? Yeah. You had the 2 options to watch the other 2, but on the ultimate cut, you had to type in a code. No one knew what the code was until someone broke it and found out what it was, and then people got to see the ultimate cut. Like I said, there's no different from the special edition, apart from the fact that it has a different ending. And the ending is like, do you remember the ending to the original, right?
Yeah.
It's just Sarah Connor narrating over a camera going over a road. Yeah. But this one it pushes forward to the future. So
Isn't she against like the fence or something?
No, so it goes back to that exact same park, but she's now a grandmother. She sees John with her grandkids and whatnot, and like her grandkids can come and see her. And she says that we stopped Judgment Day. All is well, and it's very odd because it's like it doesn't work. It's like you've got this dark, gritty action movie, then you've got this colourful, joyful ending to it at the end. It's so weird, but it doesn't fit. Hence why it never got released. But I just love the fact that because that special edition Blu-ray was fucking awesome. It had all the features and all the bells and whistles for being a fan of that movie, and only to have you got 2 cuts, but there's actually a hidden 3rd cut. Oh, hang on, John's got a. Go on, John.
I had the original of that.
Yeah.
Special edition, right? but there was a better one with far more features on it in America.
Okay.
I ordered it, and when it came, it was before the days of the steelbooks.
Yes, yeah.
And this came from America, and it was in a steelbook.
Yes. Okay.
And then I put that then into the case for the UK version, shall we say? So I have both the UK and the US edition. So all the extra bits and pieces are on it.
Oh, so you got the even better package than we did, then, really?
Well, not necessarily, because, like you say, at the time nobody knew what the code was to get into the in bit.
Did you know what it was then?
No. And
So
I might have found out.
so
I never
lit-
watched it, but
So when you get to that, so how does it work? So you got the
So when you go to
remote
play
control,
movie,
right.
it would say play theatrical cut, play this, play ultimate.
Right.
You would click on the ultimate part, and then a keypad would pop up.
Yeah.
And you had to type in a code on your numbers on your
remote control. Yeah.
So
to type in a code, whatever it was.
But no-
and I think it was something simple, like it was the date of Judgment Day, so 0829 or something, whatever it was.
I need to
that's
do
all-
that more often.
Don't they? That was freaking
amazing.
If
awesome.
I was a fucking director, I'd be doing that.
Exactly.
That's
It's like the
amazing.
nice little cream of the crop, you know?
that's
Just-
amazing. And then what does it play the whole film or that
Plays the whole movie,
Uh,
and then you will have that ending to it instead now.
the
Completely
ending.
different. You can see it on YouTube now, so it's not much of a big deal sort of thing. But just as a movie, getting to see more of that favourite film as a kid, I can't deny that it has to go in my top five. I just love that whole idea of, like, you can see another cut, but you got to crack the code for it as well. It was just, it was so good, man.
was there additional stuff to it then?
Oh, there's more
Like-
additional stuff to it. Like they added all the. So I don't know if you know, Universal Studios made a ride of Terminator 2.
Yes.
So there was like they added that because it was like an actual scene from a movie. They put that into not into the film, but they added this to the special features and how they made that and stuff. Like anything you wanted on Terminator was on that Blu-ray or DVD. It was just fantastic.
The code was 82997.
There you go.
Yeah, damn, that is amazing.
So so August 29th, 97. There you go. That's my number 4. We'll go to number 3's, guys.
Number 3.
Back to you, John. What's your number 3, sir?
Right, my number 3. This is where I have got a favourite, but I'd like to include all 3.
Okay,
You know
let's see what
it
it is first.
This is Lord of the Rings. The extended
Okay,
editions,
fair enough.
The extended editions.
Yep.
The sheer length of those films is unreal, you know. But I prefer. I like the last one, Return of the King. That's my favourite. Even though a lot of people tend to like the Two Towers, but I like the Return of the King. It was an easy choice for me because I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan, you know, and I like Schmeagol and I like all the characters in it. So because you never really see until then who, like, you know, Gollum. And how he becomes Gollum and stuff like that. So obviously you got this. There's a new thing out lately with him in it and whatever. But I just like the whole story with Aragorn reclaiming his throne and stuff like that. So yeah, no, it's
And the mouth of Sauron
mouth
scene.
of
That is a good
Sauron.
scene.
Yeah,
Why did they cut that from the thing? Then?
Yeah,
I know. Yeah. But yeah, that's my favourite.
Oh, is that it?
That's it. Yeah. I think everyone's seen him that by now, haven't they? And I mean,
So did it?
considering
So
it was like 45
going back to
minutes
the
at
question
all.
I mentioned about. So obviously the first one's out, Fellowship's out.
Yeah.
A year has nearly gone by. The director's cut came out in November. The
Yeah.
new Two Towers came out,
Yeah.
or the original cut Two Towers comes
just
out in
under
December.
just under
Did
a
it
year,
put
yeah.
you off, like when you went to see those originals and go, well, there's going to be a director's cut soon? Is this original cut going to be
No,
pointless?
because I knew they would do a director's cut for each of them. So I didn't go to the cinema and see the director's cuts.
No, but what I'm saying is, when you went
Oh,
to
no,
see the
no.
originals, do you
No.
think to yourself, well, this movie's okay, but we're going to get a director's cut at some point, so is it...
No, because I knew, because like I said before, I mean, the sheer length of edition, shall we say, I was more interested to see, well, what exactly are they adding to it? And again, like we've said, I've watched them, and you're very hard-pressed to try and remember all the extra bits and pieces in it, because they've done it quite well.
It's just a scene, but just
Yeah.
a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
But you won't realise it until if you.
Yeah.
I think I've had to watch it back to back to really find out what they've put in.
And considering each film is like 3.5 hours or more, some of them, I think one or two of them are nearly 4 hours, aren't they?
Turn the King's nearly 4 hours.
Yeah, the actual extended version is. And then, like you say, but someone said to you, well, so what actually did they add then? You'd be very hard-pressed to actually spot anything because of the way it flows so well.
It's
then
just
that's Peter
extended.
Jackson for you.
It might be a 5 minute of a film, but there was a 5 minute of a fight scene, but
Yeah.
it could be like a minute extra or 30 seconds here and there, and overall it adds up. That's all. What I've figured out. But I don't think there were any like significantly.
I don't think
like,
so. There probably were. There may well have been a couple of bits. But
Well, we might come back to that later. Who knows?
we might. Is it on your list as well? Then? Oh, okay.
Maybe.
Might be.
I might be stirring the pot for someone else's top 5. But anyway, good choice. I'm sure we'll go into more detail soon about those.
I'm sure we will.
Dave, number 3.
All right, now number 3, Lord of the Rings.
There we go.
trilogy.
Nice.
one?
We got a clash. We have a
All of
clash.
them. I wanted to do the same. I wanted to do the same
Yep.
as you because you have to include all of these.
Yeah. It's a set.
This,
But if you didn't, which one would it have been?
2000.
Oh, yeah. See,
So this is the one that you talking about being excited for director's cuts coming out.
yeah.
This was the one for me.
Yeah, same here.
This was my dad going out and hunting for that DVD big box that had like fucking tons of discs in.
Yeah.
And it had all the special features and it had the extended run.
But did you remember the design for the case? It was like
like
it was like the book, wasn't it?
It was like
Yeah.
a brown
I just
book.
loved
then
it,
it was
yeah.
like a bluey one and a green one.
That's
for,
it, yeah. It just looked like having the books on
Yeah.
the shelf,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
And you knew you were getting loads of extra stuff in that.
And I'm gutted the Blu-rays never did that.
Yeah.
There's always all these other types of box sets, but that DVD one specifically was lush, mate.
So the reason this is on my list is, like I say, because we went out. It was an event when that came out.
100%.
We sat down to watch it after Dad brought it home because you were like, "Oh, what extras in there?" And because there was so much that missed out on the movies because of the Lord of the Rings books being absolutely massive.
Yeah.
You have to miss stuff out, but there are you saying there's little tiny scenes. There are so many big scenes.
Yes,
in
exactly.
There's, like John mentioned, there's the scene where you see Smeagol becoming Gollum.
Yeah.
right.
So you see him and Deagle,
Yeah, his cousin.
happy little, on a boat fishing.
that was
in the original
that's
cut,
in the
though,
original.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Forget that then.
But
There-
it's in the Two Towers as well.
There's the...
They kind of got
It's like a
flashbacks.
flashback how he gets around.
The whole
right?
thing with Faramir and Boromir was
I
a
was
big
just about
scene
to
in that
say.
one. Yeah.
You see Boromir interacting with Faramir
Yeah.
in the
Yes,
second one.
that was one. Yeah.
where he's, being a supportive brother for him, so it kind of redeems Boromir's character a little bit after.
Gandalf versus the Witch King. That's had that whole entire scene added.
Yeah. Did they introduce the fall of the Saruman at the end, or is that in the theatrical? I can't remember. Where
No, that's in the director's cut.
in the
You're right, yeah.
director's cut. So
Before-
you see what happens to Saruman.
When Thingy stabs him from behind.
Yeah.
Yes, that's in the director's cut. Yeah.
Wormtongue
That's
stabs him in the back, and he falls into the water surrounding the flooded Isengard.
Was that not in the?
it. No, that's in the director's cut.
There are so many bits.
So this is
in
the
it.
thing though. Like it just like when you watch it, it just didn't. It was. I'm comparing
if
it to I Am Legend, where they've added something completely like changed the whole thing. Whereas
This doesn't.
these ones, you don't kind of see this changes because you kind of like. You think that's what's happening when you I don't know. For me, that's how I generally couldn't spot anything that's generally just put in there. Like, oh wow, that's just
No,
completely
because it was
jaw-dropping.
obviously done to be originally to be 4 hours or whatever, but they had to cut it because of time constraints at the cinema. So, like I say, this is an example of where they've added things that had to be cut out. So this is extra story bits that are from the books. These are bits that develop characters a little bit more, things like that, and. Yeah, just sitting down watching that as a family and going, oh, that bit wasn't in the, that bit wasn't in the original screening and things like that. So good.
It's good when you spot it. It's like, oh, here we go.
Yeah, and just having them on with all the discs and all the extras that came with it as well.
Yeah. That's one of the best making ofs in
Yeah.
that set as well. It's
And
fantastic.
all the stuff about Weta and the character designs. There was so many good special features on those director's cuts, big boxes. Still got them to this day on DVD.
Nice.
Pinched off my dad.
Does your dad listen to this series at all?
I don't think he knows what
We might have to
podcasts
report.
are.
Oh, fair enough.
So I'm safe for the moment.
You're safe for now.
He ain't coming at me.
No,
Not yet,
I used to have them on DVD. I don't know if I've still got them. I'll have to have a look. But again, like you said, they were done like books. I had the Hobbit set as well.
But those editions used to come with a mini statue of something.
Yeah.
So the first one came with the two statues that put the arms up. They
Wasn't one
swim
of
through.
them Minas Tirith that you could?
That was
lift
that was Return the King, and
did
Two
you get-
Towers had Gollum.
I've
A
got the
little mini
Hobbit
statue.
version of him.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Comes in
you bought them
3D.
from me, didn't you? Yeah, I
3D.
remember those. Yeah.
So yeah, Lord of the Rings number.
Good shout, sir. G.
No word of lie.
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings. No word
Yeah,
of lie.
okay.
It's on my list. But I have a similar story to Dave. But I watched it originally a long time ago. I remember the debate when it came out was saying, "Oh, it's not going to be better than Harry Potter," or blah blah blah. Because I didn't know at the time what Lord of the Rings was. I watched it, and years later, I've bought the Lord of the Rings.
I went to the cinema on the
And
canal.
I got my wife, my mum and dad, and to watch the extended version. And I told them it was really long, but they got through it and they loved every. For me, watching it again, I still find it hard to find out what bits because I enjoy it every single moment, and so did they.
Well, I just had to Google bits of it because I can't remember any of the scenes, and then when Google's sort of saying, "Oh, this part was added," and I'm thinking, okay, I can't remember that. But like you said,
You don't know if it's from the thing.
But the story just flowed,
Mm.
and I got to the very end of it, and it's like, so what did they add? But
They're
obviously,
very cleverly added, aren't they?
God,
Because
yeah,
it's just
yeah,
like
yeah.
you said.
It's
just,
not an addition. It's just a reinstatement
Yeah.
of what should
What it
have been
was.
there originally.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Because it was obviously made and then put together, and then someone's gone, "Damn, this is too long."
yeah.
Because you think back in early 2000s, you didn't have
no, it was
long movies.
already a long film.
Yeah, but you didn't have long movies up to like 4 hours. Like nowadays, it's not. A lot of people don't blink an eye when there's
Yeah.
like 3 hour plus movies.
This is they come back to what we said before.
back in
it's
those
like,
days,
it was cut for specific
it's been
reasons.
cut because people gone, "That's too long." People
Yeah.
won't sit
Yeah.
there for that.
I think people were like saying, "Oh, it's like watching a Bollywood film or something."
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
but anyway, my one of my proudest scenes when I'm watching it was they really got into. I know I was going off topic, but they really got into it, and they got to the point where like they were called, like, oh, in my language, it was like, when is the old guy coming and save? They're in real trouble, and where's he gonna come?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, they're really
That's
enjoying
it.
it. So,
They're invested in the
yeah,
story.
but
So that's
even,
good.
I thought they were going to be, oh, this is too long. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is boring. But I had to translate for them and stuff. But they really enjoyed it. But,
Did you translate the film for them?
yeah. So not all of it. They can understand it. But so if there's a dialogue or something, I have to. Oh, he's saying they need to go here.
Please
or-
tell me you did the voices.
Oh yeah, I did. I did the.
You shall not pass.
Come on, give us
Go on,
that
go on.
in Tamil.
Go on, do it as
Come
it is in
on,
Tamil,
We
go on.
want to see. We want to hear it.
With
Ninga, either thirty po martinga.
that would fit.
Oh man, that was cool.
It was good.
Sorry, what was the first word in that?
Yeah, no, yeah.
You might need to cut how.
Yeah,
that
we
was
might need to cut some of this out of the way.
Ninga means you.
What does it mean?
You.
You.
Ninga.
Oh my god!
No, it's not bad.
Stop saying it.
Cancelled.
Jesus Christ, you're going to get me cancelled.
M.T.V.B. podcast cancelled.
Wow,
Please
it's,
don't.
It's my language.
It means you people.
He didn't. No, he didn't. It's
just means you.
he didn't say what you think he said.
I know, but it just when you said that, I was
mate.
like, "Oh
I know.
no!"
I know you're trying to pronounce it, but stop now.
Okay, I'll stop doing that. But yeah, yeah.
That is so cool that you did that for your parents. Wow.
Oh mate, there was one of the proudest, like not proudest. It's one of my memorable times because at that time I was trying to get my wife into watching it.
Yeah.
My mum and dad. We did the whole films, Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit.
Yeah.
I did the whole Harry Potter series. They loved all
Wow,
of it.
nice,
And they were like,
nice.
why is it always like an old guy, the savior? Like,
Yeah,
in Harry Potter, they're
yeah.
Dumbledore. And I said,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
brilliant. Bring me more granddad, type of films. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I don't know. These are my favourite ones.
Yeah. Oh wow.
But yeah, it was really enjoyable.
Can you do just before we move on?
No, I'm not. You're
I'm
going to get him
No,
cancelled.
no, because I'm not going to say you.
Okay.
But can you just do Smeagol in Tamil?
Oh yeah.
Go on.
That my
Or Gollum.
precious or something.
Oh, I need to find out the word.
My precious.
They stole it from me, precious.
In the tongue.
I love how you do the motion as well. No one can see you doing it, but you're doing it.
I'm going to do the audio description for that for the listeners at
audio
home. I wish you could see,
Yeah.
but he This is what's great, G, is embodying Gollum. So the moment I asked him to do that, his head pops back into his shoulders, he hunches forward, he puts his hands forward, and he's holding his precious...
But it's
can you promise me something? Like when we do commentary corner on one of these, can you do Tamil all the way through it?
He's going to get tired, man.
That'd be so cool. That would be so cool.
But you have to do it in character and everything.
I'll try. It's been a while because we hardly watched the film in a while, but I'll try.
Nice.
Oh, gee, well done.
Very good, sir.
That's all right. Thank you. But I know
You've got a sound effect for applause, play it, man.
Oh, you have?
So, yeah, I do. Yeah,
You must have one
I
somewhere.
do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice one, mate. Nice one.
That was good. I enjoyed that a lot.
Sorry, I didn't mean to get you cancelled.
not yet, anyway. Not until we complain. Anything more on that?
Seriously, no. I really can't differentiate the original to the extent because all I've watched was always the extended, so I can't.
Yeah, but see,
actually see.
I didn't watch
The original ones were in the cinemas, so after that, I've always had the extended.
Yeah, see, I didn't watch the director's cuts or extended editions, whatever you want to call them, trying to spot the extra bits. I wanted to watch it because it was more of the story. So, like I say, I wasn't watching it thinking, any minute now there's going to be something that I haven't seen before. I wasn't thinking of that. I got to the end of the film and I was like, they could have added another hour on as far as I was concerned, you know.
Yeah, because when I was showing it, I was expecting, this wasn't in the original.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I think this was in the original.
Yeah.
So, this is what happened. So, I'm just like you. I couldn't differentiate the difference.
Yeah.
And before we move on, they're talking about redoing it potentially.
Yeah.
Remake.
Oh, a new one, isn't it? Is it a new one?
Or a new one? I
Yeah.
don't know, man.
No,
Come on,
Jackson's helping him out doing it, but he's approved it basically.
Please don't
What, a new
redo.
series or a new
leave
film?
Oh, no,
I
it's a
don't
new films, I think.
But don't
I
redo
hope
it.
not.
Just leave it. We need it.
Yeah, leave it alone. It's perfect as it is.
Yeah, please.
Focus on maybe some other story that might not have been.
I'm telling you now, Bilbo, we female. Moving on. Right, so my number 3 is not Lord of the Rings.
No, just make it Lord of the Rings.
It's not Lord of the Rings. My number 3 is Alien 3.
Oh,
I've mentioned this on a previous podcast that this is one of my favourites of all time. We do have director's cuts of Alien and Aliens, which I'm not saying are bad. They are very good. In fact, director's cut of Alien is shorter than the original cut, which is quite interesting. Aliens is a fantastic one as well, but Alien 3 is the one I have been waiting for since I was a kid watching the original. So I'm not going to go into too much heavily because, again, go listen to those other podcasts I mentioned about it, but this was always in production hell, this one, and there was always a rumour that they had made a good nearly 3-hour cut of this movie, and it was always rumour mill. David Fincher never wanted to be part of it, whatnot. And going back to DVDs were a big thing in the early 2000s, and then 20th Century Fox said that they were going to release a massive box set with all 4 of them in, all 4 of the films in. Each one would have a director's cut, including Alien 3, and we were like, that's never going to happen. It's never going to happen.
Did that come in like an egg?
Yes.
Yes, my dad's got that.
Yeah,
I haven't stolen it from him
Yeah,
yet.
that's the one. So we didn't think it was ever going to happen, and then I used to collect film magazines back in the day, so Total Film Empire, whatnot, and Total Film in August of 2003 shared a couple of pictures from the director's cut of Alien 3, and I was, holy cow, this is like, because there was always a rumour that the director's cut, the alien came out of a cow instead of a dog in the original cut, and there was pictures of that, and it's like, holy shit, this is actually real, this is legit, and I was excited as hell for this. This was like, oh my God, it's finally my time. I'm actually going to get to see this thing. And then Christmas of that year, it came out, got it for Christmas, sat and watched that thing. Without its faults of audio and issues with that, it's a fantastic director's cut. It is brings so much more to the movie, changes the story in the movie at some point as well. When the Blu-ray came out, the audio issues with the DVD cut were changed and it was actually fixed and much better remastered for the film, which I think I showed you at some point, because you'd never seen it. I highly recommend it. I know it's not the greatest of Alien films for fans, but as a director's cut, I cannot deny how I'd say it's made it better than the original cut. I do prefer this to the original cut. Some of the effects still aren't up to standards of it, but to say that the myth, the legend of this director's cut that would never see the light of day finally came was just a joy for myself as an Alien fan, and to actually get to witness it back then and still watch it now. I think it's great. Don't watch Alien 4. That is the worst director's cut of all time. Terrible director's cut. But 3, I know no one's a fan, but if you are a fan of it, watch it. It is spot on, right? I cannot deny it. Nice. Hence why it's got to go on there. It was going to be on there. It was my number 1 at one point, but then there were 2 other ones that I thought, no, we should take the spot. But yeah, that's my number 3. Let's go to number 2's.
Number 2.
John, back to you, sir.
Excuse me.
Wipe your mouth, cunt.
I've just eaten. Aliens.
And there you go. Yeah,
Second one.
Yeah.
And it's one of my extended edition ones that I actually do remember bits of the added bits.
Oh, I know yeah.
Like Hadley's
See, that's the problem with why it wasn't on my list, because the cuts are obvious in the original cut.
Yeah.
So when you watch the director's cut and you go back and you go, oh yeah, that's an obvious cut. Yeah. You can't do that with Lord of the Rings because it's brilliantly edited.
There's too many.
It's brilliantly edited how they do this. Yeah. Sorry, go on, carry on. I'm taking over.
But no, I'm a big. I love the whole Alien franchise, and so when I knew they were doing, a special edition of it and everything, I went to the cinema, watched that, having already seen the original anyway. And like I said, you can see where they've added the little bits, but it was still a very, very good film.
So much added to it.
It does add,
and it does it well. Man.
I think it's only 17 minutes, which doesn't.
But still,
sound
getting
a
to
lot,
see Hadley's Hope before it was, whilst it was inhabited and all that.
Does they actually show what happens before?
Yeah.
No, so
not
in the original cut, you see nothing.
Yeah.
But in this director's cut, you see people on Hadley's Hope and how they find it.
Newt's parents.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
you see them going out to investigate.
That's it.
Yeah, they find the crash ship.
That's the director's cut scene.
Yeah.
So how they, because in the normal one, they've
already been captured
and done.
Yeah,
they're dead and so.
Whereas in this, they're like stay in the vehicle to Newt, the little girl, don't they?
Okay,
they go outside and investigate.
And then
and then the scene with the turrets. Yeah, that's the add-on.
Oh, so there's a thing. I've seen the extended without knowing.
And Ellen Ripley finds out.
But that's what I'm saying. You go and watch the original now.
Yeah.
The cuts are way obvious.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Like you knew this was the original cut from day one. Yeah.
See,
and now they've cut it.
Now thinking back, if I watched the original, I don't think I would have liked it without those turret scenes and maybe not having Newt's parents.
So I've seen both, and I prefer the second one.
The talk about Amanda Ripley's been added as well. The scene where they discover there's a queen.
Yeah.
Because Ripley's like, who's laying these eggs? And that's when Hudson goes, well, maybe it's like an ant-man, like a hive. And then she's like, bees, man, bees have hives. You know what I'm talking about? Like the mama that runs the show, she's a badass, man. I mean, she's big. Christ, I know this movie up by heart.
So yeah, see, like I've had not known. I've been watching the extended version all these years.
Yeah. But to me, the better version.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
I would say the same.
Yeah. I mean, it's like as a movie, I prefer Alien. I don't like the director's cut.
Damn it, if I had known, I would have put it on my list. Damn it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there's a reason for that. I'll go into that later.
Yeah. But see, like I took a couple of films out, but I couldn't take out Lord of the Rings. They're too important, and then I couldn't take out Aliens because
Aliens is it's a very good pick, sir. Yeah. Aliens is a damn good pick.
I thought it was quite cool where Ripley finds out about her daughter and that her daughter's died and stuff. So that kind of fleshed that bit of the story out a bit because, like I say, that wasn't in the beginning.
But then that explains the whole purpose of Newt at the end and everything. It just fits perfectly.
Because it's like they go in there and you think, well, how the hell has this little girl survived? And this never gets explained. You see the expression.
Newt is her Amanda.
Yeah, exactly. So, all makes sense.
It is a brilliant. I love Aliens is.
Again, a film, do not touch it. Leave it alone.
Nice.
That's me.
Dave, number 2.
Number 2, Blade Runner.
Yeah, that's why I left it out.
I was going to say, you knew I would have this.
I thought it'd be your number 1, personally, so I'm quite surprised by that.
Number 2, so I've banged on about Blade Runner so many times on this.
How many cuts are there, is there?
There's fucking tons. I think there's more.
Is there more? I thought it was only 4.
There's a theatrical cut. I think there was an English or a European and an American cut. There was a TV cut as well.
Yeah.
And then you've got the final cut, I think.
You got the director's cut as well. You got the work print cut and then the work print cut and then the final cuts. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about what it is.
No,
you just need to have listened to me in the past on this because it pops up so many times. The original theatrical version of this was atrocious, in my opinion. Yeah.
Is that when he narrated it?
Yes.
Yes.
So this is where we were talking about test screens. Someone mentioned test screens.
Yes. Yeah.
I think it might have been John.
Yeah.
Fucking test screens, man. Like, do they just pick people off the street who like
They must
aren't
do.
fans of say sci-fi
Yeah.
films or stuff like that? Because they showed it to the test film. Because I was talking about this with my dad. They showed it to a test audience and it did badly. So they were like, right, we need to put a voiceover. So Deckard does a voiceover. Harrison Ford's character does a fucking voiceover the whole way through, and I hate voiceovers in movies most of the time. There are very few that are actually good because it's just lazy storytelling. You should be
like narrating the film.
Yeah, so as stuff is happening
Throughout the whole film, is that what they do?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
because
He's essentially explaining it for people that don't need the explanation.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Maybe
I was gonna
maybe in
mention
that
people, I'm
time
not-
sort of era they didn't understand
Well,
what.
no, I'm just saying it. I think it was just test audience. They must have just grabbed people who weren't fans of the genre and have gone, "Oh, I don't really understand what's happening," or "I don't really get it." And this is the worst travesty. They in the original cut of it, the ending, they ride off into the sunset effectively, don't they?
Yes.
Harrison Ford and Deckard and Rachel escape the city and go off to live
It's
happily
just
ever
flying
after.
through like
Yeah.
landscapes and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's weird, isn't
They
it?
literally,
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that
they,
version.
Dude, you wouldn't. Yeah.
so because it's the Hollywood ending, it's the traditional happy ending. The hero and the heroine
Always
fly
go-
off into the
They
fucking
always
sunset.
go off into the sunset. Same in cowboy films.
and survive, and it's a lovely, happy, fucking mass market appeal ending. And if that had been my first exposure to this, then fuck it, wouldn't be what it is today. So, like I say, I'm going to talk about the final cut because that's
Is that the cut you're gonna?
yeah. The final cut takes away all that
narration
and stuff. It tidies up a lot of things, and it puts it because I think they'd put the original ending back in. So the unicorn
Origami
ending.
something.
The origami unicorn, but in the final cut, it's where it needs to be. That it's fully sort of realised that the ending. So it's one of the greatest movie endings in my opinion because it leaves you with that open-ended, like The Thing for you. It's like is
he-
Deckard
Right, yeah.
was he always a replicant?
Do you ever believe the theory that the guy? Too bad you won't live, but But then again, who does? That he's the true Blade Runner of the film.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
You do. You
Well,
do
his
know
partner,
that.
He's his
are you talking
partner,
about his
yeah.
partner?
Yeah.
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 So yeah, because he at the end he's been making all these little origami foil animals, hasn't he? And then at the end he just puts he's got the unicorn one,
The one that's in front of the
He
cover.
starts seeing visions of unicorns,
Yeah.
doesn't he?
and then and he shouts, like Ant just said, "Too bad," yeah.
Too bad she won't live, but then again, who does? Or something like that, isn't it?
So what?
But sorry,
But it leaves it.
So before we had the final cut, there was always the rumor that Deckard is a
replicant.
replicant. Yeah,
Yeah.
and the final cut justifies it throughout the film that he is.
Well, no, it leaves it open.
No, it doesn't, because during the film his eyes light up like the replicants. If you go back and watch it,
Did you
there's
know?
scenes where I haven't got time. Fuck's sake. There's scenes where him and Rachel are in the apartment together, and if you look back in, she's in the foreground, he's in the background, and his eyes light up and whatnot, which sort of indicates that he's. But only the
none of
final cut
other-
does that.
But like I say, none of the other replicants, their eyes light up.
No, they don't. But
So
his does for some reason.
I think it's that will they, won't they? Effectively, is he or isn't he? Yeah.
Or some of the other. You agree with some of the other changes in the final cut, like when he's like, "I want more life, father," instead
Yeah.
of "fucker."
Yeah.
You like that?
Oh yeah, because he's the creator, isn't he? He created Tyrrell created the replicants. So yeah, it makes it so much of a better film for that.
And the added eye gouge.
Yeah, that's fucking brutal. An eye gouging anything is brutal, dude.
So you're saying that his partner was the original Blade Runner? What do you mean?
That's the theory, that he knew he was always a replicant from the start.
Right. So if he knew he should have killed him, right?
But no, because he wants to see how it's going to play out, wasn't it?
Right. Okay.
Because if you've got a replicant that thinks he's a Blade Runner, then does the job for him, essentially, doesn't it?
Yeah. Okay.
Which kind of nicely leads into the second Blade Runner film.
Exactly.
I think that's why people were so confused in the test thing, because it's a lot of like complex storytelling. Maybe they didn't realize what the hell this, I don't understand, and maybe that's why they thought they had to narrate it in the original.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
not saying.
But going back to what Dave said, I reckon they just stood outside the movie theatre and said, right, here's
Wanna come watch a movie?
Here's $20, come watch a movie.
True.
Do you know what I mean?
True,
Rather than actually
I'm-
trying to get fans to come, because it's the fans who are interested in the story that will come and tell you whether it's any good or not.
No, I'm just thinking on my own sort of experience. Have I had not watched any sort of that type of films and watched that for the first time, I'm going to be like, what's going on? You know?
Yeah,
You could in theory say it was like the first sci-fi noir type
it.
thing. I can see where people...
I can understand, and there will be people that still don't understand it to this day. But this movie is not made for those people.
Absolutely, yeah.
There are movies out there with your traditional.
And the credit to was it Ridley?
Yeah.
To doing that is brilliant, sticking to it and pulling it out. It's amazing.
It's sci-fi where it pays attention that people don't want to pay attention to, isn't it? And that's why it probably failed so much. Which is a shame, because again, it's a classic, you know.
Yeah.
But are you happy that you finally got your cuts?
Yeah.
That you wanted in the end?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like I say, a voiceover and a Hollywood ending. What the?
See, like, honestly, I had not known there was so many different cuts on that film.
Yeah, it's good.
Otherwise,
5
it
or
would have been
6
on
of
my
millions. Yeah.
That's amazing. I didn't know that. That's
I'm gonna have to Google it. How many cuts are there? But yeah, no, it is an amazing movie, and like I say, I know we'll move on. It's going to take me too long.
That's fine. G number 2.
My number 2. I'm going to be pretty boring, right? Mine's The Hobbit. Number 2.
Oh, well, yeah.
Sorry. Is that? Yeah, can I get away with that one?
I'll let him have it. There are director's cuts, yeah.
Yeah, it is. I've got the special edition.
You clearly didn't know what to put down on this, did you? But I'll put 2 there.
No, exactly. There's 2 I've realised already, like Blade Runner and the one.
No, that's fine. Go on, carry on.
You put me on the spot now. It's going to be like, liked it.
I think these cuts are longer than the Lord of the Rings ones.
Way longer.
Yeah.
Way longer.
Which is weird, because this is all one book.
I think I'll go back to what I said originally in the previous episode. I know you're against it, but I prefer Hobbit to Lord of the Rings. Sorry,
That's up to you.
I don't know what it is.
I've got no.
Don't get me wrong. I love Lord of the Rings, but I think Hobbit is one of my.
It's all one story anyway.
Yeah,
so it doesn't bother me.
The director's special is again what I said earlier. Like I watched it alongside Lord of the Rings with my parents. Obviously narrated it as well, but I watched it in 3D as well. It's awesome in 3D, man. And I think the 3D also does it in the extended edition as well.
Yeah, it does.
Because I thought it would be just a theatrical cut for the 3D, but no, it's the whole shebang. Okay. And yeah, I think for those, I remember that the barrel scenes, and especially on the Five Army, the third part of the film. I think you can tell they've fleshed out more.
There's more of the
battle scenes.
They've even upped the rating in on it, didn't they? Because it's violent. The fight scenes and that.
So there's
they went to a 15 rated movie.
Yeah, I think even one of them goes. I'm not sure if I'm going off top of my I think one of them's almost 4 hours. Is it? No,
about 5 hours. Is 84 hours.
Oh yeah, so it was
far off it.
Yeah, and I loved every bit of it, man. It's so good, and I know people hate me for saying, but I really think Hobbit's way better for me personally as Lord of the Rings. I think it's just more like a adventure-ish sort of. I think maybe because of you follow the Hobbit from like a little.
It's not focusing on other characters. It's just these guys.
I feel like the dwarves had a more of a better trying to say that, then I can't really say. I do like Aragorn and
but they split up though, don't they? These guys are together all the way,
and you kind of get like a closure on what happens, and you finally get okay, the dwarves get their sort of land thing back, the cost or whatever they have back. So I think in a whole, I think it's better for me. I prefer it to Lord of the Rings. Yeah, sorry, it was
and it has one of my favourite swords in cinema history, which is the Goblin Cleaver. I want that as a replica. That is a gorgeous sword.
That's a, what do they call it? A letter opener.
A letter opener.
Yeah.
That's for Sting. That's Sting.
Sting, yeah.
I might be able to get you a replica of the Oaken Shield.
That's just a piece of wood.
Exactly.
That'll do it.
That'll do it. Yeah, that's it. Oh, yeah.
But no, I do like that. I like those. The Desolation of Smaug is my favourite out of all of them, but director's cut wise, it'd have to be Battle 5 Armies. It's just...
Yeah.
And another reason why it's on it is one that I own. The Lord of the Rings that I don't have. I don't own the 3D limited edition as well. So I've got what you're talking about, the figurine, the one that you sold.
See, I don't have the figurines. I've got both.
Sorry, I
the
didn't mean to cut you
4K
off.
editions.
No, not at all.
I had the 4K box sets of both of them, but I don't have any figures or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you know?
Did you know, G,
Yeah, go on.
that Azog, the white orc,
Yeah, I know
Oh
this.
yeah.
completely invented?
Yeah.
Completely invented.
Did
for
you
the
know?
movie.
Oh,
Yeah, another one.
Azog is played by a guy from Spartacus.
Yes, I did know.
Kratos?
Kratos. No, not Kratos.
Kratos.
Crixus.
Crixus. Badass motherfucker.
Yeah.
You can tell
Yeah,
just
I
by
was-
when he's grunting. He's like,
When he
can
does,
just tell
there's
for
like a specific scene where Azog stands to the
Yeah,
side and he
yeah,
smiles. It's
yeah.
like, that's Crixus right there.
Yeah, I was a bit annoyed that he was created like he wasn't in the book. So this is my thing. Like I know people who read the book prefer the book to the film. I kind of a bit gutted that he wasn't in it. I don't know.
I never
I don't
read
know
them.
because I did maybe
Like
the
that.
reverse.
But it's the same situation with Lurtz from Lord of the Rings in the Fellowship of the Ring, because the audiences needed a villain
Right.
rather than just having an army. They need a bad guy
a
that
character
can
they
have
can-
vengeance,
yeah.
that can be killed,
Well, okay, fair enough.
can be battled against, rather than just.
So you're saying essentially creating that villain is better.
It's create a villain before they get to the big villain.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Is
It's
what
like
they're
a
trying to
sub
get.
villain.
because otherwise you could argue that you've not got as much of a payoff for an audience who are like, oh, they need to get that guy that's been hounding them all three movies. That particular guy needs to die. Kill him. You know, you need to fight him, an epic fight, rather than just goblins or
Yeah.
Yeah,
in
because
a
the
battle.
goblins
Yeah.
chase them in the book. Yeah.
and wargs and stuff.
Yeah, I think
That'll do it.
that'll do it. That'll do it. Yeah, so that'll do it.
That's it. No, nice. The Hobbit. So, okay,
no,
yeah.
I
So
know,
let's do number two,
sorry,
yeah. Hobbit.
sorry.
No, that's fine, mate.
Yeah.
It's two separate sagas in today, so we'll count it. It's fine.
Yeah, you know, it's like it's just like what I said. Like having not known that I've been watching films that I was director's cut all this long, I would have known. Like, oh yeah, that would have. You know, if I had not known that Dave mentioned Blade Runner is not the original version, you know, I could have more to my list. So sorry, apologies
For what?
for not. Obviously, you know, Lord
That's
of the Rings or
fine,
Hobbit's the same.
It's
Well,
the
good.
same story, but it's too, so yeah.
Right, so my number two, apart from The Watchmen Ultimate Cut, this is probably the second longest director's cut I've ever watched. And it also proves that there are, or could be, other director's cuts out there that haven't been shown. Zack Snyder's Justice League is my number two.
Yeah.
I know it's your number one, isn't it?
I knew this was going to be on here.
No,
This has to be
I
on
knew,
the
I knew someone.
This
was gonna-
movie is absolute kick-ass.
Yeah.
And what an improvement over that piece of shit
Yeah.
2017
No,
release.
too
What the
right.
fuck
Too
was
right.
that?
right.
That monstrosity of a fucking film. Why that was never the original cut, I'm not going into details as to why. You know, it was something to do with director's daughter dying and whatnot, and you know they didn't want to wait. But whatever, man. Warner Brothers should have just waited instead of just like, we need to be more like Marvel and just let the man do his job. I still think that they wouldn't have done it if it wasn't for HBO Max launching that channel. If there was no, if there was no channel, it would still be in the, you know,
the shitty stage.
They would've
yeah,
waited.
in the cupboard, wasting away, whatnot. But as a movie, this is a director's cut that clearly changes the tone of the original and actually absolutely improves, regardless of the length of it. Everything is just
We watched it here, didn't we? You
not here. You didn't know?
did we not?
No,
Because they did it on online release.
it was on it was on
it not?
Sky. It got released, yeah. Or HBO Max, whatever they call it. But this was one that was rumored to be. You know, this was one that fans pleaded for and done petitions online. Release the Snyder Cut. Release the Snyder Cut. But then again, it's like when studios release a trailer and show footage that aren't going to be in the final product. It clearly shows that there is
a
version out there.
Exactly,
it's like if you ever look at the the trailer for Rogue One, there are so many scenes in that trailer that aren't in the original film, which clearly shows there's a director's cut of Rogue One somewhere as well.
Yeah. Or they could make one easily, yeah.
But not only was this a massive success for that subscription channel, surely that proves that people want director's cuts. People want stuff that thought we didn't exist but does exist. Like I mentioned with Alien 3.
No, this basically shows that fuck your company. We need to have this tick list. Just fucking do it for the fans.
I'm not saying that there aren't crap director's cuts. I'm sure there are, but there is a market for director's cuts, and Justice League is a prime example for it. And this, if it wasn't for the time left, I would watch this movie so much. It's to me, it's shot well. The characters are better. The characters we thought we would never see are shown on the spotlight even more, like Cyborg, for example. Like, who is that guy? But hey, this movie fucking proves who he is.
You actually get to know how.
My God, does he ever? Scenes with the Flash that get extended and actually shown that he's not the stupid character he was in that 2017 piece of shit. Oh my God, there is just so much this movie. Martian Manhunter, Steppenwolf is more badass in this movie than ever. He is kick-ass in this movie. The Atlanteans, not Atlanteans, the Atlanteans,
the
Amazons, that's it, Amazonians, sorry. The way they guard the cube in there, in that safe and everything. Oh my God, I can go on forever for this fucking movie.
Flashback of the whole previous war.
Yeah, and the lanterns are in and everything, and oh my God, and Darkseid himself. It's like that guy has such a presence in this version than he did in that Justice League movie. Like, I prefer him. I think he has more of a threat than Thanos ever does to Marvel. Nothing against Marvel. And Thanos is amazing, but if they ever brought this Darkseid into it, we're fucked. Seriously, we're dead. But the return of Superman as well, the scenes that we all got cut out and got replaced with because he didn't want to cut his beard off and whatnot, so we put a fake chin on him and whatnot.
Was it moustache?
No, it was a beard as well. He had like a beard and everything.
That's from Mission Impossible, right?
Yeah, that's right. And then they cover it over with that fake CGI thing. None of that was in it. We get the actual black and silver suit that he has in Return of Superman, the comic book. So again, a nice little reference to the book there. Yeah. Good God, man! It's my God! It's such a good. It was so close to number one. Obviously, my number one did beat this, no doubt. But I was so edging it between there to get to that number one spot.
The original, what it did was annoying. It says certain things where it's very cheesy. Like some of the stuff, like they do a little like cue where like they do like a teamwork thing, and then Batman goes, "Yeah, smile," sort of thing, and you're like, "What the fuck? Like this is stupid." Whereas they rectify the whole scene, and it's completely like how it's
the tone of the film
completely changes. That was one, and they got rid of that little race at the end, and the whole sort of family. The whole
thing, they're here to save all the people, and but they actually utilize Flash for what he is meant to be doing. And then the whole point where he uses the Speed Force to go back in time and stuff because the Justice League fail and fuck up and they all die.
And the reverse, and you see Superman coming back.
Oh my God!
Like, what?
And it proves that how lethal Darkseid is as an enemy. And it's like fucked up. And then if it wasn't for Barry, we wouldn't have this.
How did they do that in the theatrical? I can't remember. Did they do that?
They didn't bring in. He doesn't do it in the theatrical. He literally just saves people in waves and whatnot. Completely fuck up Flash's character. So again, it's just, oh my God.
And it's well worth 4 hours. Well,
that's the issue. That's the issue. It's like 4 hours seems like a lot, but there is not one point in that film or that cut of that movie where I was actually bored at all.
Oh God!
It's a movie that's actually longer than a Bollywood film.
This came out on a day where my kids went back to school, and that 4 hours is usually just the gap I have between my day off with having the kids at school because they both finish at different times. So that 4 hours was like been and gone. Oh shit! Now I've got to do school pickup. Wow, this went so good. God, this is how director's cuts need to be and should be, and had. Like I said, if we have a market for it, or even just with John's mentioned before with Blu-rays now that we should have the option for it, and then decide for ourselves. They should always come with a director's cut, and then we decide if we want to watch it or not. But this is what I'm saying. There are director's cuts that aren't great. So
no, I mean if it's done to a level of like Justice League, then what you're going to.
I don't think they'll ever go. This is the issue now. I don't think it will ever go unless it's something big like Lord of the Rings or fucking Star Wars. I don't know, something like that. Maybe even Marvel or something. But you'll never get anything as big as Justice League now.
Yeah.
But I'm just glad that we got to see it.
Yeah, and I'm glad they actually done it for the fans. You know,
but they didn't know. This is my kickoff because they done it for years, saying bring the Snyder's Cut, and the fact that HBO Max had nothing to release at the time, so they thought, hang about, why don't we give him this, and then people will actually come to this channel to watch this because we know there is an audience for it.
Oh.
So I don't think it was necessarily for the fans. I think it was just Warner Brothers getting it for the channel. So hey, that's my opinion.
Moneymaker, wasn't it?
That's my number 2. I know it's going to be. Do you want to jump in on it because it's probably going to be on number 1 now, isn't it?
You've pretty much said what I've.
So it's your number 1, yeah?
My number 1.
Okay.
100%. And like I said, there was moments in that original film where I just thought the characters are not what I expected to be like simple. Like I just didn't like Batman. You know, getting flung about from Superman can do it, but
Batman just seems very redundant in these films.
Yeah, just obsolete.
Yeah,
I know you're right. At the end of the day, he's a human being, and you take the piss out of him. But there's certain sort of aspect to Batman that you have to respect because he always has that sort of knowledge of how to defeat people. He's not like stupid. He's like he knows things, so you know how to effectively.
He's actually got enemies he can go against in this one.
He knows. So they set him up so well in Batman versus Superman. He, I know, I'm gonna make you bleed. So blah blah blah. And then and this comes out and it's just like what, it doesn't make sense. So they completely rectify all that.
And he gets to go in the Batmobile and shoots them all up and stuff. Yeah, it's like
that. I think that's got to be one of the most.
Every character is utilised in that Justice League. Like I said with Cyborg, it's like he's a nobody, but they use him so well in this, and they actually felt for him as well. The guy who plays him is badass. He's a good actor.
I like him,
what did you feel about the extra scene at the end with the Joker?
See, again, that wasn't in the original, was it? Not? Yeah, I thought that was even to the point where what Batman actually says something to scare the Joker as well. That little dialogue.
I just love that idea, that alternate future of Superman being on Darkseid's side. How fucking frightening is that? Yeah. To a point that when all the other superheroes are like, he's coming, and how terrified they are of him. Even Flash is just like, I'm out of here. That must be such a horrific feeling to have that one so powerful be evil, and for that reason, because their loved one died. Good God, man. It's just.
And there's a moment as well that added in where, do you remember Martian
Manhunter?
He disguised himself as Martha, and he's speaking to Lois.
Yes,
Do you remember that? What was that? That wasn't in the original.
That's not the original.
I'm
not sure what's happened to Martha. I don't know if she's moved back to Smallville or something or whatnot. But
the only annoying thing is I don't think we'll see a lead up to that. I don't know.
No, this is what I'm saying. That was officially the ending to his trilogy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So that's my downside to this cut, is that we'll never get something out because he's no longer going to be Batman anymore.
He set up that
James Gunn's going to come in with his new verse, so which Flash has changed in the new movie. So
that ending's we're never going to see that ending.
Never ever.
That's the earliest fucking.
This is it.
Sad.
It is sad times.
Anyway,
So that's your number 1. You're done now. You can sit back, relax, and then John, we're going to go to number 1.
It's number 1.
Bring it home, sir. Number 1.
You all know what my number 1 is. It's The Exorcist.
Do you know what? I was going to mention it in my honourable mentions. I wasn't sure if you're going to have it, but went on to.
Of course, he's going to have it.
There's 3 different cuts of this film, isn't there?
Yes. Funny enough, the extended edition, shall we say, is they labelled it the version you've never seen, sort of thing, and it was just. It was. There's not. The 2 director's cuts. There's literally a couple of minutes the difference, but it's the additions to the story. There's a thing with the priest is the story with the priest is expanded. More scenes in the home. And
so I'm confused with the whole director's cut thing because I remember when it got re-released in the 90s for its 25th anniversary, I used to know, because I was studying media at the time, I used to know mums and dads that would talk about that film, like, when it came out, so many people were fainting in theatres, whatever. Is that the movie where she walks down like a spider? Again...
Wasn't in the theatrical version.
But how do people know that then? This is what I'm saying, because there was no such thing as director's cuts or extended editions back then.
Word of
so
mouth,
how do people
probably.
know of that scene when it wasn't even in the director's cut until the 90s?
Was it not in a trailer, like you were saying?
No, not at all.
They show the best bits of one.
Oh, no, that I'm aware of.
Yeah, I mean, I can Google how they would know.
Maybe
about
that's
it, but
an example of what's it fucking called? There's a syndrome where people think things are real, things are more real than they actually are. So, like, if you maybe because now you know of it so much, you've almost convinced yourself that was the truth,
Right.
when it wasn't. There's a weird. I wish I remember the name for it. There's a weird thing. If I show you 3 Winnie the Poohs, one's got like a little bow tie on or something. One's wearing a different coloured shirt.
Oh, that's
Some people will say 100% he has a bow tie,
Oh, I know what you mean, yeah.
and then you look at the real one, you're like, what?
it's like in the office, does Stanley have a beard?
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah.
It says
There
here.
is a word. I don't know.
Go on, John.
It says here that the biggest addition was to the extended director's cut was the infamous spider walk scene, in which Reagan comes down.
So
the
this
stairs
is what
backwards.
John Ant's saying.
Yeah.
How were people talking about
Yeah.
that?
Because
before
it says here this scene had been available as unfinished, deleted material on prior home video releases, but was completed
You were
and
right.
restored using CGI for the new cut. So people
Right.
had seen it, but it
They
wasn't
wouldn't
part
have been
of the
walking out
film.
of the cinema.
So is this the famous?
It wasn't part of the
So
cinema.
she's on a.
Yeah, she's on her back. Yeah. But it was a deleted scene on a home video.
I remember there being a cut, it's probably the same cut actually, where they added stuff really badly. Like there's a part where the lights go out or something and you see a face, but it's in the kitchen and it's like, it looks like it was very badly added
I
into
think-
the background,
yeah,
like
I think
CGI'd or
I think
something.
there's a scene because at first they don't know who the demon is, obviously in the original film, and it turns out to be like
I am no one.
yeah, Pazuzu. And I think there are flashes like with lightning and stuff, and you see like this flash against the wall, and there's the outline.
That's
of
it.
of
Yeah,
Pazuzu.
that looks like that was badly added.
Yeah.
It wasn't ever meant to be there.
Again, it was probably a deleted scene, and they've just cobbled them all together and made the actual extended director's cut from that.
That movie's going to be 50 years old this year.
Is it true when people
crazy.
actually watched it in the cinema the first time they've fainted and stuff?
Yeah, allegedly.
I'll be honest, when they re-released it, my dad took me to see it. I was underage and I was like terrified at one point. Not a point to fainting, but you know, it was like, shit, this is...
Maybe if you
this
have
happened.
a-
See, I was
Even when they were
Maybe.
making it, apparently stuff was going on. But I don't know.
Oh, well, no, you see,
Oh,
I-
they
I-
always say it was
Yeah.
cursed or something. This is the urban
Well,
legend,
but
isn't it?
It took
It was frightening,
3
though.
times longer to make, and they had so much trouble making it that's why people said, "Oh, this film's cursed. It's cursed." But I mean, I was living in Ireland then, and I was young, and of course, anything to do with
It reminds me of the mummy. Hang on. It's cursed. Hang on. It can't be where it's a curse.
And you've got the button. He's talking about Ireland when he was a kid.
Come on. No, sorry.
It's season 7, guys. Give us a chance. We've got to get back into the swing of things
we got to find the buttons.
I've got to
Again.
find it now.
with no dead time.
You should put it under the green button.
I should have done.
It's story time.
Yeah, I
We
thought
don't
this
take
is
it-
I thought you had one that was story time.
It's story time with JK47.
I love that.
You were a kid in Ireland. Go on. Go on, sir.
Love it.
Was it a hooky copy?
It was. But it was like, because it's like the Catholic Church in Ireland, they don't like anything. They don't like anything like that. But of course, the more they try to ban stuff and tell you can't watch this and you can't watch that, the more people
More
want
people
to
want
see
to
it.
watch it, yeah.
So of course I'd read about it. You know, this horror film called The Exorcist, and it's like the worst film as far as the Catholic Church. It's the worst films ever made, and you can't.
Of course they're going to say that.
You know what I mean? So I mean, like I say, a friend of mine
But
had
it's kind of promoting religion in
Well,
a
of
way if
course
you
it
think
is.
about it. So I don't understand what their problem is.
And doesn't
I watched a lot of films like
I'm
that.
sure the Catholic, like the Vatican, has an official exorcist as well.
exactly.
They have. Well, that what's his
Why are
name?
you pointing at me like I'm an exorcist?
It's like that. Was it was it Father Amorth or whatever? That film, that documentary, and whatever. About that guy.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Who's pointing at it?
And just
This is my third job. I'm an exorcist, guys.
The
Takes
guy
off
who-
the Jurassic Park.
Yeah, well, the
and he's
guy
got
who
the
made
little
the guy
collar.
who made The Exorcist. Apparently, the Vatican do actually have exorcists, and the head one is called Father Amorth, and he did a documentary about him. And
right.
and then you've got that film recently with
Yes,
Russell
I know.
Crowe
Okay,
plays him.
the Pope's Exorcist.
Pope's
Isn't it?
Exorcist. So that
Is that any good?
Do you,
supposed to be. I haven't seen
how
it
do
yet.
you call the Vatican and say, I need an exorcist?
Yeah, I know, yeah.
You know, how does this work?
I don't have to.
Do they ever ring and go, oh, I think my child's
They've
possessed?
probably got a
No,
number.
and it goes like this.
666.
It goes like this. You ring the Vatican,
hotline.
and it goes, "Welcome to the Vatican. For baptisms, press 1. For exorcisms, press 2. If you need all other issues,
Press
If you-
2.
if you've
Is
got
your
a-
child vomiting pea soup? Press 3.
If you've got a demon in your house, press 6 3 times.
You're fucked.
If there's a demon in your trousers, press 5.
Yay. So obviously, you know, the more they say you can't watch something, the more we're going to watch it, and it was, and I remember seeing it and thinking, fucking hell, it's a scary film when you first see it, and I get like,
Yeah, I was fine.
you read all the things, and everyone says, oh, you know, the test audience were fainting and running out of the theatre. I can kind of believe it, really, you know, but yeah, so it's my number.
So
one.
will you see the remake when it comes out?
Yeah.
Because it's done by the guys that
But-
done the recent Halloween
Yeah,
films.
see, I've got every faith in them because of their past record and films that they've done, which are very, very good. But the worrying thing is, and you mentioned test screenings, they've had a test screening for it and people didn't like it.
They're not going to, are they? That's the issue, isn't it?
So they're going to change. They're going to change it. So you know, it's not. It's kind of put. You know,
They're going to narrate over it now.
fucking better not now. But no, I am keen to watch it and see what exactly they're going to do with
See,
it.
I've only watched that second. I haven't watched the final cut or whatever it is. What's
yeah.
the third cut called? The director's cut.
It's the extended.
Director's
cut.
second cut. Oh, well, okay,
yeah,
whatever. Yeah, I don't think I've seen that one.
Yeah, but this new version that's coming out, they have said it's going to be a trilogy. There's 3.
For fuck's sake.
Yeah, they're doing it over
Milk
3 films.
it.
So. Oh yeah, of course they will.
We're all sucking on that teat.
But then you look at who's doing it. So
everything has to be a trilogy or in an
It has to be
cinematic
universe now, yeah.
oh yeah. But
So,
yeah, that's my
anything
number
else on
one.
The
No,
Exorcist?
my
That's a
number
good shout, sir. Again, it was going to be. I'm very surprised. I was like, oh, he's going to say it, and I was going to mention it. Damn it! But I bet now. Well done. Good pick.
Yeah.
Number 1, Dave.
Right. Are you fucking ready, man? Because
He's gonna go.
Here comes the real explanation.
He's really pissed off at me.
strap in. No.
I didn't realise you were going to say it. So
Right. So I've bent the rules a little bit. My number 1 is I Am Legend.
I'm sorry.
I haven't seen the alternate ending cut because I only found out about it researching for this list, but I'm still putting it on my fucking list
Yeah.
Okay.
because it's my fucking list.
And it
Get your
exists.
own list.
So,
Get your own podcast.
so you watched the director's cut, not realise
No, I
that it
have
was the
watched
director's
the
cut.
original. I haven't seen the alternate ending.
Right,
But
okay.
during research, I found I read that there was one, and I was like,
I
oh,
thought you
shut
was
up.
me.
So, I Am Legend.
We had so many conversations.
Yeah, because I Am Legend is one of my favourite stories.
Okay.
It's a sci-fi
The Mega
classic. Sci-fi classic. It's called I Am Legend by someone Matheson. And it's a short story, so it's like a novella sort of style length. And I think it's quite old. It must be about 50 years or something. And I love it because it really ticks my box of, you know, bittersweet endings or like a twist at the end, things like this. And I think it's great, and it works as a book. It could work as a movie. I just don't believe the I Am Legend that was released as a theatrical cut is this story.
It's nowhere near that. It's
So
completely
in the I'm going to really quickly go through it. In the story, the apocalypse has happened. It hasn't been created by the main character, Will Smith's character, or anything like that. He just lived through it, and people were turning into feral vampires. And they're sort of they can talk, they can, you know, but they're like bestial. They're, you know, like animal, so they can. And he's basically had to burn his children, his wife, throw them in the mass pits after they've died to make sure they don't come back as vampires, and he ends up as the last person alive. And it is a lot of it is quite slow, which is why a lot of people would get put off by it, because it's a look at loneliness, isolation. So he lives in his house on his own. He doesn't have the dog to start with, and
yes. Yeah, he doesn't know.
he basically, in the daytime when the sun's up, he's so positive. He fixes his defences in his house. He goes block to block around with a map, clearing out areas while the vampires are asleep because it's daytime, staking them, killing them. cleansing the city. Then he goes back at night. They all come out surround because they know he's there.
Yeah,
they want
this
to
is
get
when
him.
it gets kind of
The women like stripping and kissing and trying to lure him out with erotic displays. The guy who used to drive him to work is there saying, "Come on out, come on out."
I call him by a name as well.
Yeah,
doesn't it?
because obviously he remembers his name, so he's calling
Sounds
him out.
like From.
They're trying to,
Yeah.
like, yeah,
No, it's
yes,
really good.
very
It's-
much so. So they're trying to scratch. It's very much like that. Yeah. So they're trying to scratch their way, and they're trying to break through his defences, things like that. And then he goes on. The dog is involved, but it's a lot more bitter in this one. It's a lot more. He spends ages. There's loads of chapters of him trying to lure this dog because it's the first thing that he has.
Yeah. It's come in contact.
Come into contact with is alive, and he grabs it, bundles it into the house, and it basically dies from fright because it's so. This is a bitter story, and then you get I Am Legend with Will Smith released, and I was so
doesn't he
hyped for
not
this.
run into another human?
I'm going to go on to that. Yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry.
So then you get I Am Legend that's come out, and I was so hyped for that movie because I loved the story anyway, and it's just a different movie. No, I'm not going to tell you off for liking it if you haven't read the book, because it probably is fine if you haven't read, but it's so different. It is the typical Hollywoodized version. So it's like, oh, and you were talking about it in the end, and I detest the ending in that film. Oh, he's found a cure.
Yeah.
Of course they found a fucking cure because of Hollywood. Oh yeah, you're going to save the universe. You're a guy on your own with no resources, but you find the cure. Oh no, and you've got to do the heroic sacrifice to save the world. Fuck off! You're fucking kidding me? Like, it's just so Hollywoodized. When I saw that, it's the only movie I've walked out on.
Did you really? Walk
Wow.
out?
Yeah, because I just
Oh my god!
because the ending in the original
How's that
book,
number one if you walked out of it?
because when you look at the alternate ending, it doesn't follow the
Yeah.
book. So I need to watch this, and I was trying to find it desperately on somewhere last night, legal. I couldn't find it on anywhere legal to get hold of,
Damn.
without buying it on Amazon and
Yeah.
shit, which I'm going to have to do. Because in the book, he sees a woman, and she's in the field, and he comes running after her. Ah, yeah, it's me.
Hey, I'm horny.
No, but the book tackles all that. He's
He's a beast. He's so hairy. He hasn't been taking care of himself. He stinks. He stinks of whiskey and alcohol.
And there's like
And he's-
vampire women there, like
it's a woman.
Yeah, no, I said
Yeah.
like the vampires that come out now that's showing him his
Oh,
tits,
yeah,
and
yeah.
he's like, I think he masturbates and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
he wants the touch of someone. He wants companionship. It's a woman. He comes charging after her, and she's terrified of him.
Yeah, I would be.
He's just a wild man coming out.
Horn
And
dog.
he manages to get her. Yeah, he manages to get her back into his house, and he's like, "This is gonna be the Hollywood ending. I found someone to last out the last days of the earth, kind of thing, to survive with. Maybe restart the human civilization. Who knows?"
Yeah.
And in the night, suddenly these people turn up who are markedly different from the beast vampires. They cleanse all of the vampires surrounding the house in nighttime, and she basically lets them in. So it turns out she was with them. She's part of their group. And then the book ends. He's in a cell, and he's sort of talking to this woman, and she reveals, basically, long story short, they're vampires. They're a new evolution of these bestial vampires who have built their own society up, and they're trying to cleanse their feral sort of ancestors effectively and start a society.
But with them.
But as a society, with their little families, fledgling families growing and having to stay inside and sleep and things like that, they've been hunted while they're asleep. Some monster, some wild creature has been coming in, sneaking in while they're asleep and killing them. Women, children, men, families. He's been staking them. And so they've been setting out to kill this legend, this monster, which is this man. It's the last human. He is the last human. So he realises at the end that he is the legend. He's the monster. He's the boogeyman.
Hence, that's such a brilliant.
And he realises that they're going to kill him because, as a society, to move on, they need to eradicate the past. They need to kill this monster, that's been hunting them, kind of thing. So it's a very deep twist. And when I was reading it, I was like,
Sounds like a much better movie.
Well, apparently, if you read the extended edition, like I was talking about, have you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen them.
Yeah, so it follows that a lot more better than the original.
I thought you've seen it. Dude.
No, it was only
So how do
because-
you feel like the film? They don't really make out to be vampires in this movie. They're just mindless non-daylight zombies in this.
Yeah,
movie.
so they could have gone harder on it. In my,
Even it's
only
again
like
lazy
a short
Hollywood.
bit where they kind of do
but
that
it's
bit.
not. It's not necessary because you can tell the same story with them being mindless beasts and then the vampire or the evolved women, and her people destroying the monsters. You just don't need all the erotic displays trying to tempt him out. You can do it without that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have.
But I think
wouldn't
that
have
was
minded too
pretty
much.
cool because you don't see that sort of thing.
No, you don't. But
Because even like I think in the Will Smith one, they don't tackle that sort of.
no, they don't. But
that
I don't
issue.
think you lose as much as you do by changing the ending. If you leave that section out, I'd have been happier if it had the alternate ending and you left out the whole thing about them being semi-intelligent, cunning creatures.
Yeah, but it's nothing like to that story you know.
No,
original.
and
Completely different.
I implore everyone to read it because
So
it's
good.
not a massive book, and it's a sci-fi classic, sci-fi horror classic. And like I say, I think it's inspired a lot of stuff, a lot of writers. For
Yeah.
example, when you're talking about From,
Yeah.
I mean,
definitely,
I'm not saying they're copying it, but it's taken inspiration from that,
That's why we like it as well.
which is why I like it. Yeah. So yeah, a bit of a cheat because I haven't seen it yet, but I am going to watch it.
You must have been kicking yourself when you.
Yeah, when I found that, I was like, no way. Like, why has no one told me this exists?
It's literally just the ending, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's different,
There's tiny
so-
bits of
Yeah.
like additional bits of Will Smith just doing.
But that ending
Loads and loads.
changes the whole tone.
Yeah, it does completely.
And it stays away from the lowest common denominator Hollywood ending. Sacrifice yourself so that the people can cure the world and everyone can go back to being normal. Come on.
Go fuck.
Hollywood.
Yeah.
I can't believe
Oh,
you actually
Hollywood,
walked out on
man.
that. Damn, that's really hardcore.
You take something you really liked, you've grown up and you read and you really enjoyed and, and then it's changed. It's probably like Star Wars, the new trilogy to add. Yeah? Yeah, I mean, that it's probably
Felt so dirty.
good... Yeah, it's a good analogy of that.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's my number one.
Nice, mate. Nice. Much better detail than someone else's number 4.
Part of me,
Better
I
detail than
looked
any
at
of
him, and
mine.
he was. When I started, I looked at him and I was like, "Oh fuck!" I
Yeah.
think I must have, pissed him off or something.
No, you haven't
But
pissed me off. I was just like, damn it.
But this is why you get to have your own 2 cents that
Yeah.
are jumping
Yeah.
in now. So
Or like probably about 20 cents for me.
20 cents to his 1 cent.
Yeah.
Well, I needed to fucking talk about that.
No, absolutely. I want to read the book now. Your number 1's done?
Yeah.
Right, so my number 1 is everyone's number 3, Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Simple as much. You guys have pretty much said what it was, but just going back to what Dave was saying about it being an event and being what it was as a family. So everyone who knows me knew I grew up reading those books. Whilst everyone in my class was reading Of Mice and Men for school, I was reading The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings.
Badass.
So when I found out this movie was getting made, I was hooked from it from day one. I was on the news with film magazines and everything up to a point where Sean Connery was originally going to be Gandalf. And I just knew everything about it. So when this film came out, the trailer finally come
I was
out.
going to say, do you remember seeing the fucking trailer for the first time?
Right, the first proper
blew my
teaser
balls
trailer,
off,
which had a bit of every film in
Yeah.
it, didn't it? But in order to see this trailer, you had to go watch Dungeons and Dragons at the cinema. There was a Dungeons and Dragons film that came out in early 2000s,
that, yeah.
which I quite like. It's kind of a guilty pleasure for me. But to see that on the cinema was the only way you could do it. Like I was telling you about episode 1's trailer. You had to go see a movie without to go see a trailer. The internet was sort of come in, but it wasn't as far as... Anyway, so... Like I said today, Dave was mentioning it as an event. My family knew I was big on it, so we would go see this at the cinema. These were the films that, again, they were all the original cuts, but I'd never seen an audience so gripped on watching these films. And then so that was Christmas of every year from 2001 to 2003. So August of that year after, you would get the DVD, not the director's cut, just the original cut of the DVD, and that's when. You pop the fucker in of part 2 to watch the features, and there was that announcement: Fellowship of the Ring extended cut. Extended cut. And Peter Jackson at the very beginning of that very quickly says that I don't like the term director's cut because that implies the original was never good. But it's good to have
He calls them extended edition.
your stories told out even further.
Yeah.
So when that came out, and then in November, this was just perfect how these things came out, because the original cut came out in August. Next part 2, so 2000 was out in December. Extended cut Fellowship would be out in November, so you'd have that little, get
you hyped.
Yes,
Hype.
yeah, that's what I'm looking at. That little hype to get you going for Two Towers. and then you'd have Two Towers, the original cut. And then this was a thing we did every year.
Yeah.
And those movies were events, weren't they?
Yes, it was just like
Did
when you sat there and the ending of the first or second one came, you're like, fuck, we've got to wait another year now. Good God, did that year come so quickly? It was like in and out, just done like that. It was, you know, the one thing you waited for every year. And then when it got to an end, it's like the Harry Potter films. And you're just like, oh, we can't do this next year. Now, what do we do?
I've never felt so sad after watching the Lord of the Ring ending with that is the... Because you felt like my journey's ended. Like,
Yeah.
Well, no,
I'm
because
not
there
gonna
was
see
always the
any-
hope that they'd do The Hobbit.
Well,
No,
but then when
at
The
the
Hobbit
time-
came, you had that event still, but it wasn't like, oh, I've got to wait till next year for it. It was like, oh, I've got to wait till next year now. Because it'd been and done before. It wasn't like the same as what Lord of the Rings
that
did,
point,
you know.
The newness. Was
I love that. I hate that feeling of that. And no film's ever done that. Like, that ending is just so saddening for me. It's like, that's it. I'm not going to see Frodo. I'm not going to see Legolas no more. Like, that's it. It's so like sentimental for me, that ending.
But those movies, the leaps in cinema that came with those movies were mind blowing. Do you remember when you saw that first battle against Sauron, and you had the elves in the line, and the camera pans over,
That's it.
and then you come up to Sauron? I was like, "What is this? I have never seen anything like this before."
And this was before we had IMAXs and 4DXs and all that sort of stuff. It was like, if you wanted to see this, you had to find the biggest screen around at the time for it.
What year did it come out?
2001.
The sizes of the fucking battles, man, and the way they CG'd real actors and duplicated it so that you had a massive cavalry charging in. Previously, and you know, the studios that did all the creature designs and the special effects and the clothes and stuff, I hadn't seen anything
and
like
the
that
budget
before.
got bigger and bigger as if you watch each film, just like,
And just look at put yourself back to when you first saw that, and you first saw the close up of the goblins in the Mines of Moria and things like that. The special practical effects,
detail,
which is why I choose Lord of the
amazing.
Rings over The Hobbit.
fair enough.
Yeah,
And don't get me wrong.
but then going to, like, it's okay throwing in a scene here and there, but when you do Lord of the Rings scenes and extended cuts and whatnot, you still have to go through shit ton of CGI, shit ton of editing, shit ton of special effects and audio effects and all that sort of stuff. With films like with Alien, for example, you can just, I'll throw an extended scene. You know, that's just two people talking. This is like the whole shebang. You have to work around this cut as well as doing your original cut for your next chapter, and then after that, you've got to do a director's cut of that chapter in order to get ready for the original cut of that chapter. How much work was that man under?
But this is what I'm saying. This is where we get the flip side of the coin. We've been talking about everyone working at cross purposes and delays and things. This must have been everything working together. This was Peter Jackson performing at his peak. He's
And people
supported
on
by
board,
his editor.
like-
He's supported by his special effects people. He's supported by the producer and director of photography and things like that. Everyone worked together so that they managed to do these awesome director's cuts in line, like you say, with all the others, the next sort of movie.
Absolutely. And Peter Jackson never uses the same editor for any film. He always has a different one every time. And how the fact that every editor he had for that trilogy still made you feel it was the same person doing it. Like, it was the same film every time.
They were obviously committed to the story. They probably even read the books themselves, so they knew how it would flow. Because, like you say,
and going back to
you've got
like
three different editors.
and going back to like I was saying about, I was still, you know, did it tarnish the originals? No, because I was still there, front row, not front row, you know, first in line to go see this next chapter, whatnot. But did you know?
I know what you're going to say.
What am I going to say?
You're in there.
No. But did you know that if you owned the director's cut, okay, it would have a trailer for the next film in the chapter selection.
Oh, right, okay.
So you go to the final page and drop all the way down, and it will go to a little symbol. It's called an Easter egg.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
And you click on it, and it would have a chapter. It would have another trailer for that next movie.
sneak preview.
It had a nice little sneak
Did they
preview.
not
And
do-
Peter Jackson would come and go, "Congratulations, you found the Easter egg. Here's the trailer for such and such, or whatnot." Man knew it so well. But yeah, I cannot deny, man. I wish I could go back to cinema and have that Lord of the Rings feeling again. When you said The Hobbit came out, I was there, front and centre, trying to have that feeling of Lord of the Rings, but it just didn't have it. And I don't know what it was, like Dave said, it might be the way the films were made or the way they look different because, let's face it, he had different technology, different cameras. It just didn't feel like that hype around I had for Lord of the Rings, and I don't think it will ever happen with me again. Hence why that director's
The reason
cut
why I
has
put
to go there.
Hobbit more higher is I think part of it, like I said, coming off Lord of the Rings, I wanted another something from it. So getting Hobbit was amazing feeling for me, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. That's why it's more higher. But nothing
You don't need to
against
yourself,
it.
dude. You don't.
No, other people might be upset, so I just have to clarify.
I just wish people who've grown up, who were born in 2000, things like that, could have that experience that we all had.
Those times, man. Look at that film, Lord of the Rings. You had Matrix.
Unbelievable.
Like I think did it come like back to back with at one point? Was it not? Or was it
2 and 3 were back to back.
Yeah.
Weren't they? Yeah.
So good, man.
It's just.
We'll never get to
No,
that
but you
point.
see, it's like my daughter was born in 2004, so she was born like literally the films had come up before she was born, so she's never experienced any of that. The only films, and I mean, she has watched them, and she's mad into the Harry Potter series. But again, she didn't see many of them. She only saw a couple. But whereas we, like you say, we've gone through them all, and we've gone through the hype for them all, and we've watched them all. And
as much as I like the idea of watching stuff at home, yes, you could have the big TV, you could have the surround sound stuff. I would just love my daughter to grow up like I did, with just have that little hype for cinema. I will push cinema to the day I die. Go to cinema regardless.
Exactly.
But I want her to have that sort of feeling I had with Lord of the Rings. Like if she's got something to look forward to. I don't care if it's the fucking Barbie trilogy or something. I will try and push her to have that feeling I had, to love movies, have a movie you're hyped up for, even if it's just news reports of Sean Connery being the first pick for Gandalf and stuff. I don't care. Just have that as a as a moviegoer, and that's why I think this has to be my number one, hands down.
Definitely.
I mean, come on, the listeners must have been expecting it.
Yeah, I mean, come on,
director's cuts.
Exactly.
I think it's hands down. Like all the things we mentioned is a must-have watch director's cut. I don't think anything else.
I would pick a director's cut to the day I die. I mean, I was. There was so many on this list that I took out. Like, I'll do honourable mentions in a minute that I was going to throw in and throw out. But there were even ones that. So again, I was talking about what class is a director's cut. So there's like a remake of Dawn of the Dead. That director's cut's only 4 minutes extra. Does that count as a director's cut? I mean, it's only a tiny add of gore here and there and whatnot. That's all it is, or nudity or something.
That's the same thing as the I Am Legend, but it completely changes the outcome. I don't know.
It's just odd, man. But like I said, it's not a great director's cut, but they class it as a director's cut. Anyway, does anyone have any honorable mentions at all? Or?
JFK, Oliver Stone.
Okay,
I like that one.
Yeah, I like it.
I like it.
I did have a few, but I'm trying to find it.
Right, so I had Gladiator, of course, Watchmen. Blade Runner, Daredevil, Batman Forever has a director's cut. I don't know if anyone knows aware of that at all. Lethal Weapon was going to go in my top 5. They're great director's cuts. Close Encounters has 3 cuts. That's a good one as well.
Was that the Ben
Affleck one? The director's cut's really good, man. Yeah, there's like a whole court case thing in that and everything. It's really good.
Close Encounters.
As I said, that Close Encounters. Legend, as in the Tom Cruise Legend. There was a TV cut for that version as well as a theatrical cut where Tim Curry plays the devil. Fantastic movie. Ridley Scott again. Superman, like I mentioned earlier. Waterworld, Kevin Costner. The Abyss, again.
I was waiting for you to say it.
And funny enough, and again, this is very I Am Legend, but because the only difference to it is the ending is the musical of Little Shop of Horrors. Anyone know that movie with Rick Moranis? Again, the ending's completely different because it's based on a stage play. Obviously, Hollywood couldn't go that far, it being Hollywood, so it had a happy ending, whereas in the director's cut, it has the same ending as the play does.
Why do they have to have fucking happy endings?
Exactly, and it's really good. So yeah, they're my honorable mentions. Anyone else?
Leon.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I was thinking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good shout, sir.
What they called he called it the version integrale.
Nice. He's always got to make it French, hasn't he? I love Luc Besson.
Luc Besson, mate, I tell you. But I think I've seen that. That's the one where he
Do you know what? That's the one director's cut I've only seen once.
Yeah,
and that's one of my favourite movies of all
I've only
time.
seen it once as well, but that's where he kind of makes out that there's like a bit of a sexual tension between Matilda.
That's right. Yeah, it's a bit cringy of a director's cut.
I don't know.
It goes more into how he trains her as an assassin as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I think that's the version we watched as well.
No, it wasn't. We didn't watch the director's cut. No. Anyone else? Anyone else?
A lot of mine have been taken, so
Yeah.
I had things like the
Star Trek
Zack-
motion picture.
Zack Snyder.
Sorry.
So I had like the Zack Snyder cut and Alien.
Oh, right, yeah, okay.
Yeah, Alien 3.
Death Proof. Star Trek motion picture. The original
Yes,
one.
yes, yeah. Death Proof is one, yeah.
Was there anything else?
I didn't know there was a
no.
direct cut for that.
Yeah, that and Planet Terror have
Brazil.
director's cuts. Oh, Terry Gilliams. Yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
There was a direct cut of that.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
I don't think
I've seen the film, but never
I don't
seen the
think I've
director's
seen
cut.
the original. I think I've seen the director's
You've seen it,
cut of
okay.
that, yeah, because I didn't
I feel like
realise.
watching Lord of the Rings again.
Come on, John, you ready? We're done.
Anyway, I'm ready with this.
All right, okay. But so Honourable Mentions done. Before we shoot off, guys, I just want to say a big thank you to all the listeners out there that continue to listen to this show. You know, 3 years ago, would we say we were on season 7 by now? You know, we're coming up, hopefully, this season to our 100th episode. That wouldn't be possible for you guys listening to give us that, you know, oomph to keep on going. And we can't thank you enough for your support and continuing listening to us. On that note, we are going to say goodbye, and we're going to catch us on the following social medias.
On Facebook at the M.T.V.B podcast.
Or on Instagram at M.T.V.B podcast.
Or on TikTok at MTV Podcast 197.
And I'm your host, Anthony, followed by
JK47.
Dave, aka Boxer and Dave.
Grey Fox signing out.
I love the way you say Grey Fox. Guys, thank you for that episode. Some great top fives there. Not too many clashes, but thank you very much.
Change
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, the master.
No G. Thank you.
No.
Thank you guys for listening. Good night.